Hum now. Hey, how we doing? Happy Thursday. We're full of a lot of energy here. Vibes are high here. I'll put the glasses on. Welcome to the Ryan Ripken Show. Hope you guys have had a great day so far. Obviously, people in Baltimore are feeling pretty good. Why? Baltimore Orioles took 3 out of 4 from the Bronx Bombers with a 7-2 victory to wrap up the series. Kyle Bradish is back. The Orioles are staying in first. Which one of you guys is echoing over there? It's got to be Kevin. There's no doubt about it. There he is.
No, not me.
Never would be Kevin. But hey, guys, let me tell you about what we have going on for this show today. We're going to review the Orioles versus Yankees because it was a pretty damn good one. And we'll also talk about what kind of transpired. And then we're going to look ahead, obviously, Orioles Reds, because it doesn't matter what you did now. You got to continue to play well and to stay ahead. The Reds are a very interesting team, and we have a couple players that we're going to highlight for you guys to know. We're going to have 3 guests on. 2 are Reds related, one with Locked On Reds and another one with Chatterbox Sports, who are it's a Cincinnati-based media that's going to talk about the Cincinnati Reds. And then for all these injuries, right, guys, there's a lot of injuries going on. Grayson Rodriguez was a shocker. We're going to talk about him, what happened with Mike Trout, and someone's interesting reaction to Mike Trout. But that's going to be with Yoni Rosenblad of True Sports Physical Therapy here in Maryland to kind of break down what it all means and maybe how we can help our own knee pain, guys. But let me tell you who's in studio with us. You guys saw Kevin, so you're going to take a guess who's in my seat to the right is Mr. Zach Bollinger.
Straight from the game. And let me tell you something. The whole world was over. Sky was falling when the Orioles lost 2 of 3 to the Oakland Athletics. Biggest series of the year coming up with the New York Yankees. Take 3 of 4. Kyle Bradish back on the mound. Dominant dog. Kevin, stand up. Give him a standing ovation.
Kevin, get up.
Kevin,
get up. Come on, Kevin.
Stand up. For Kyle Bradish.
Hey. Kyle Bradish, baby.
Yeah, Kevin.
That's terrifying still. He's a good kid. And as you can hear his laugh because he enjoys it every single time. We got Mr. Brad behind, making it all work. How we doing, Brad?
What's up, fellas? Yeah, man, great game today. Really, I mean, honestly, the Orioles were probably about 4 or 5 inches away from sweeping the Yankees. Because I mean, that's all. Yeah. That was the difference between the 2-run home run last night, and it being a foul ball. So it's just a crazy series and really a wild start to Kyle Bradish's day today too. Catcher interference, a weird hit batter with Rizzo. It was just kind of a weird start, but even in the start of that inning, as weird as that was, he just looked dominant the entire day. So it was really awesome to see. Throw 97. Hopefully he feels all right after this game. But yeah, man, great series. Looking forward to the Reds.
Yeah, here come the Reds. Here come the stinking Reds. Or actually, here go the Reds. Here go the O's up to the Reds because they're going to Cincinnati here. Also, one more thing. We're going to have Jason Benowitz, a man of the people of the Birdland community. He's going to join us at the end of the show to talk about a special thing around the yard because guess what? What I loved, it wasn't sold out every day at the yard in April and May, and that's okay. But the environment, the energy this early on, you can feel the passion. Jason was also there, but he has another event that's coming up that I know the Baltimore Orioles fan base would love to hear more about as we look ahead to possibly a future homestand. So, guys, why don't we start with this? You said Kyle Bradish standing ovation. I'm going to be honest here, guys. Hands up if you were a little bit nervous, holding your breath, or maybe holding your fist tight when Bradish was out there throwing because you just were waiting. Hands up, right? And it's not because you don't think, right, that he wasn't going to go out there and do his thing. It was the fact that, is the elbow going to be okay? Like the last thing, you get through everything of your rehab and then something doesn't go right. And then that extended inning that you talked about, Brad, which was the catcher's interference. I'm finishing lunch at the Iron Rooster, a little happy hour special here. No one wanted to join me, but I'm sitting there and I go, wow, great inning. And all of a sudden I go, no, come on now. Catcher's interference, inning keeps going. But he avoided the adversity, he got through the adversity. And look, guys, I thought he looked fantastic. And if you had told me Kyle Bradish, Zach, was going to give us 5 or get to the 5th inning in his first outing against a very, very dangerous New York Yankees team, I take it every day of the week. But the biggest thing is he looked like the Kyle Bradish of 2023.
Yeah, and we've talked about this a million times already. The biggest update and stat that we can get is how he feels tomorrow and the next day and the next day. That's going to be the most important thing. But man, was it electric seeing Kyle Bradish back on the bump. I got chills sitting in the ballpark because there was so much adversity. You get Corbin Burns in the trade. Everyone's talking about the big-headed monster. We got the 3 guys with Grayson, Burns, and Bradish. Then immediately a few weeks later, it's like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen with Bradish. You don't know if he's going to start the year on the IL, where he's going to end up. Does he even pitch this year? And obviously there's so many unanswered questions still, but for him to go out and, like you said, dominate a very good Yankees lineup. And yeah, they got some breaks on him. There was some very, it was an interesting inning, that first inning. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to put it that way. It was a very interesting way to extend that first inning, but everything about that was just perfect. You couldn't have written up a better start to his season.
Yeah. And again, for the closeout, his line, Kyle Bradish, 4 2/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 5 punchies, by the way, 5 punchies and 84 pitches. And I thought if he got through 5, that was it. Whatever it was, I thought the 80 threshold was around there, and that's exactly what the Orioles were thinking. But Kev, he gave the team a chance. But how about the damn bullpen for the Baltimore Orioles? I thought there was a crisis, everyone, right? Weren't we being told that the Orioles need to go make a move? Because this bullpen's terrible. Oh, they're terrible. They can't do anything. Guys, this pitching staff as a whole held the Yankees to what? 4 runs? It was a shutout in the first game.
Are you talking about the staff?
We're talking
overall,
today or
yeah.
overall?
I'm missing one of the games. Overall for the series.
Oh, it was
2. Let me just look.
I just had it up right here, and then my computer froze. That's on me. But I'm blanking on the middle game. Yeah, I'm sorry. Here it is. Four run, or sorry. Timeout. Yeah. 4 runs for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
No, 6 runs. I apologize.
Runs.
Gosh, math is not my specialty right now. Even though
This
it's
is why we
pretty damn
talk
good.
sports.
There it is. Amanda, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
See, and this is why we love our community. If we get it wrong, hey, we'll admit we're wrong. Hey, hands up, guilty, wrong. But what I was right about is that this bullpen, Kevin, was going to bounce back. And I think that they heard some of the critics, but this is why you can't judge a group in 1 month's time. Because really, to me, as great as the starters were, the bullpen is the group that kept this team at bay.
I mean, bullpen, like you said, sky was falling. They had nobody. You couldn't throw anyone out in the bullpen. It was over. Throw the whole bullpen out. Coming in against the Yankees, obviously a tough series against the A's. 12 1/3 1-run ball by the bullpen over 4 games. I will take that if the bullpen goes and every series they're throwing 12 innings of 1-run ball, you're going to win a lot of series in Major League Baseball.
And I know we're talking about Bradish coming back, but you got Perez, who's now back in the bullpen. Suarez is now in the bullpen. Your pitching staff is now finally, I know Grayson's on the IL now, but I was a series too late I thought it was maybe the Oakland series, which is going to be the bullpen. Really, all right, we're going through some struggles, but we bounced back. Didn't really work out in the A series, but if I was to pick between the A's and the Yankees series, which one would I rather them be better in? I mean, you pick the Yankees 11 times out of 10 and 3 times on Sundays, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And here's the other thing, by the way. Oakland is 15-17. They split the series with the Yankees prior to coming to Baltimore, and they've won 7 of the last 10 games. And they also have guys, he might be the best reliever in all baseball right now in Mason Miller.
They have the best 1-2 punch end of the bullpen in the league, and it is a former Division III baseball player, Mason Miller, and a former failed second baseman as their setup man. I forget how to pronounce his name. Yes. Just talk about 2 awesome stories. How can you not be romantic about baseball?
And I also
That's wild.
Are we still talking bullpen, or can I give an AL East as a
whatever
whole?
you want to do?
Well, I want to shout out James here, Robot Wrestler, because he's been driving this point home, and a lot of people have. It's not just James, but this is just the one I saw. You talk about games that teams in the AL East have won against 500 or better teams. You have the Orioles at 14-5, the Yankees at 5-5, the Red Sox at 6-11, the Blue Jays at 8-11, and the Rays at 4-8. This team is really good against good teams, and that to me will set them up really nicely for the playoffs. Obviously, you have
what's the Orioles record versus teams over 500?
14-5.
How's that possible? I heard they were going to play nobodies to start the year. There's no way that all those teams are above 500.
Yeah. You know what? They got an easy schedule, right?
Yeah.
But this is the part I try to tell people in general. You got to throw everything out of the window in the first month or two. The only thing you can ask of your team is to be in the race. I have been, and again, didn't get up to the big league level, but I've been around the big leagues as a kid. I grew up with the game of baseball. Whether I liked it, loved it, hated baseball, I feel like I got a pretty good pulse on it from all the years. And the biggest thing that I've learned when you're going through a season, okay, is that you need to feel like you are in the running. Okay. The Orioles emphatically in the running. One of the best teams in baseball. They're looking to continue on. And this is above. We're going to rate the month of April A+ for the Baltimore Orioles. A+ for where they are. But you look at other teams where they're already out of the race. The Fighting Gavin Sheetses and the Chicago White Sox, kind of out of the race. Sorry, Gav. Marlins, out of the race. You just want to stay relevant into it. Look how the Twins closed out the month of April when they faced the Orioles. Everyone was thinking abandoned ship, right? Long season, right? So for right now with the Baltimore Orioles, you got to feel really good. And this was something on Baltimore Baseball Tonight I mentioned on 105.7 The Fan. In the last 15 games, this was what we talked about last night, so the numbers have changed. The Orioles, despite all the issues, still had a top 10 ERA in baseball over the last 2 weeks. And then the last week, they were in the top 2. So that's just how good they've been the last 7 days. But giving you context, it's never as bad as it seems. The real big difference, guys, is that this offense is unbelievable. And today is a great example of it. Hey, can we get a little bit of a round of applause for a little Jorge Mateo and the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan McKenna, baby.
I saw on social media calling them the M&Ms. Mateo McKenna.
Build the statue.
I don't know who said it, so I apologize that, I didn't see who it was, but I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And I have another nickname for Jordan Westberg, by the way.
You want to just say it now?
Westy F baby, and the F is for finisher.
Wow. Kevin,
so much understanding. What's the word without enigma? I'm not going to say the next line because there's a curse word in there. And
there is?
There is.
You don't say, Kevin.
Well, Locked On Ravens is a family-friendly show.
Synchronized swimmer.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what a
can we give me a win on Kevin Oki for that one? Can we give me a win on Kevin Oki for that one?
Not yet.
No, because you gave that. That was you.
Hey, but you know who's giving out things right now? It's Justin right here. Justin.
Thank you, Justin.
Amazing. We have a great
This is
community.
incredible.
Yeah. And it's again, so for those who don't know, Brad, and you can explain this better than me after this, and we'll get back to this Orioles offense that's kind of humming at the right moments, right?
Yeah.
You got shut out, you bounce back. But we have this community, and we try to really have the community, one, to make people feel more involved. The subscriptions, if you join it, whether it's the RIP Super fans or the Holy Shirts and Pants memberships, where we give you guys more of the insights before. We're going to have some other special things lined up, but we tell you everything ahead of time so you guys never can miss it. But all of this, Brad, essentially is to help us, fix our equipment so we can continue to have more content being thrown out there for you. Because let's just be honest here, you guys don't see behind the scenes fully, but there's a little bit of a rip after dark for not the best ways. And as we talk about this cube,
shit.
Wow.
Brad right on top of it. All right, Brad. Cube. Brad, what else do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so guys, if you aren't a part of the channel membership, hit the join button next to subscribe. We have almost 100 people already that have joined the crew. So, and you know what, Ryan? I'm thinking about changing the super fans or whatever to good kids.
Oh, the good kids.
I
think the good kids.
I like that.
The good kids.
Good kids. Rips good
yeah,
kids.
and then the Holy Shirts and Pants.
Yeah.
But guys, honestly, like it's just a little bit out of your pocket, but it helps us immensely. So it's strength in numbers, right? So it's like $3 or $6, whatever it is, but it helps us reinvest into the show, upgrade our equipment. Not that it's not already good, but we just want to make it better and better. And so we're, of course, working with partners and other businesses, but we can't do it without you guys either. So if you guys want to join the membership, click the join button next to subscribe. I'll also throw a link if you don't see it in the chat there as well. But really, you're getting exclusive streams, exclusive content from us. And then also, anytime we have a special guest, you're going to find out before anybody else. We always announce that within our community first. So make sure you guys are doing that. Help support the channel. We certainly would appreciate it. We got them rolling in here. So just another quantum wave function. Popping in.
Just
And then
incredible stuff.
Damn.
Oh, we're up. Yep, we're up. Here we go.
Kevin, stand up.
Kevin, get the bear. Get the
Appreciate
bear,
you,
Kevin.
Tim.
Yeah, this hasn't gone sideways.
Yeah, baby. Come on, Kev. Kevin. Come on, Kevin. I got
Kevin.
a mid squad in here right now. I'm feeling pretty good, but honestly, how can the vibes not be high if you're a Baltimore Oriole fan? And there he is. Oh goodness, I feel bad for the bear.
That poor bear.
Poor bear. But Kevin, we appreciate you. We appreciate all of you guys. And again, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. It's the Ryan Ripken Show. We typically do this every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday. Having said that, we do have impromptus, like we had Jared Carabas on, who used to be, people initially saw him from Barstool, the DraftKings. Now he's with Underdog and does a lot of stuff up in Boston. Nesson, MLB Network. That was a special one that Brad was alluding to. We let our members know. We have other interviews that could be coming up here. We can't tip our hat yet, but our Holy Shirts and Pants members will be the first to know about that as we move forward. And again, we do have this on the audio version, by the way. I wanted to mention that just to give, we're trying to get our name out there more and more. That is the ultimate goal here, because we do think, and this isn't just for us, that we think that we are providing something great, which we do think that we can give you guys something, but what we think is really cool is this damn community. Like, it just feels like it's buzzing. People are fun to be around. I love seeing the chats and people talking about what they love and enjoy, sports and outside of sports. What do you got, Kevin?
Well, speaking of community, we also have the Discord, and I figured it's a good time to plug it with the community aspect of that. So if you like sports conversation, you like us having sports conversations, but you also want to have sports conversations with the people who tune into the show, you can join the Discord. There's, a baseball chat room for football, also basketball, just another way to engage with us. Yeah, hockey too. I forgot about that one. It just engage with the community and us as well. I think we put all the videos and the live streams in there too, so you have easy access to those. And actually, we have, who is it, Rolling with Rock, who does a lot of the cool stuff with that Discord.
Amazing.
So he's done a great job of helping us with that. So I don't know if the link's been put in the chat yet, but when and if it gets put in there.
There it is.
Boom. All right. So yeah, you can join the Discord for another way to interact with us and get involved in the Baltimore sports community. I think it's a really cool thing we got going on over there.
And like I said, we talk, and C-Money, thank you so much. And I will read this out for those that are just listening. He says, Mounting Westy trying to backdoor Gunner MVP race. Love Mateo. Grind the last 2 years when everyone counted him out, kept his head down and kept working. He really embraced his role, Jorge Mateo, this year, and that's something that's been great to see. We're going to dive more in. I know our first guest is going to be coming up here pretty soon, so we're going to keep an eye out on that. What do you got, Kevin? You're circling
can
the
we
wagons.
quickly go around and give our biggest takeaway from the series?
Go ahead.
Mine is this is still the Orioles division, and it never wasn't the Orioles division. I mean,
Talk to me, Kevin. Talk to me.
Look, there's competition, and the Orioles have to go earn it, right? You can't just cakewalk, and it's going to be a tough division. This is still a really talented and tough division, but to me, the Orioles offense, while there were some struggles and there have been some inconsistencies, they're still leading the MLB or second or third in almost every single category. So there are going to be inconsistencies here and inconsistencies there, but it's still been one heck of a high-powered offense this year. And then the pitching staff, again, with Bradish back, once Grayson gets back, we're going to get into that a little more as the show goes on. Yeah. But to me, I think that this Orioles team, it's still the AL East is Baltimore's right now.
Go ahead, Zach.
He'll never be a superstar in the eyes of, I believe, the more general national media. But Jordan Westberg is going to be as important to putting a championship in Baltimore as any guy out there. That man shows up every single day. And what does he do, Kevin?
Produce.
All he does is produce.
That, you know what? I think your favorite lines are all he does is produce, and how can you not be romantic about baseball?
Yeah, and I'll stop saying them when Jordan Westberg stops producing and when I stop being romantic about baseball, and I don't see either stopping anytime soon.
Brad, what do you have? What's your thoughts?
A couple things. One, Juan Soto is the greatest baseball player in the entire Major League Baseball league. And he's also the biggest fucking asshole in the entire Major League Baseball league.
Oh, you're gonna do that to my former teammate there, huh? I can tell people this. Like I'm good with Juan personally, but do I understand why people hate him? Absolutely. Because if you're not a fan of him or you don't know him, he doesn't do anything that you would like unless he was on your team, right? That's really all it is. And this, honestly, hot take, maybe it's not. I think it's great for this rivalry. I think it's fantastic.
I love it
that he has now become the villain there.
People will say that, like, I had a few people say before, come up to me at the game and were like, before this series, I loved Juan Soto. Now I hate the man. That is awesome for this rivalry. Hate him. Understand he's, like you said, Brad, that he's one of, if not the best players in baseball. But it's okay to hate him. That is like part of the fun of the rivalry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so you can hate the player, but you got to respect the game,
you got to
dude.
respect
Yeah,
everything he
100%.
does is unreal. But like when he's playing against the Orioles, I wish him nothing but 0 for 6 strikeouts games.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think we're going to get many of those.
Too,
You're not.
Like, would I want him on the Orioles? Yes, just because he's a ridiculous talent. But then you also got to wonder if that attitude, that mentality sticks around in the organization. I think it messes things up.
I think it's more of a gamesmanship thing. He's not that way off the field. It's really on the field where he can get under people's skins. And that's what's happened. He did it with the Nationals too, where it started off. But I'll tell you what kind of catapulted them besides some dynamic pitching? It was the fact that Juan felt like he could get an advantage over the pitcher. Like, it's all intentional. I asked Dean, for those that were wondering here, did he mother F Soto? And I'm like, I know you did, Dean. But he's like, well, no, I didn't say a damn word. And I know Dean. This is Dean. He hits the home run, then he'll look up and be like, well, what do you want to do? Just go around the bases. We're going to win the game. Like, that's Dean's mentality, right? But that's all we got. Last thing, we're going to move on.
Yep, last thing. Gleyber Torres in the post game today said, we got punched in the face, and then, man, do I love to hear this. We have to figure out a way to beat them.
I mean, it's true. And this is kind of the last thing. This is my last takeaway from this. I made a tweet out about this. Personally, the Orioles have a lot of really good players. You're seeing this, and we'll talk about prospects here down the line with like Kobe Mayo that's waiting, Jackson Holiday. It's a really, really good team. And I'm going to give credit to the Braves. I think the Braves still probably are that juggernaut of a lineup, but top to bottom depth, no one has a deeper offensive team than the Baltimore Orioles, from their starters all the way down to the bench. 1 through 9 in the lineup can do damage. So we'll see what happens there. It's a great start for the Orioles to get ready for Cincinnati. But guys, it's a perfect time now to kind of talk about the next one. Thank you, D. Porter.
D. Porter,
appreciate it,
man. Appreciate you.
All right, so it's a good time though to bring on, because with all the news of Kyle Bradish coming back, is great, right? John Means back, great. Grayson Rodriguez on the shelf. And that's actually a great time to bring on our next guest, who is the owner of True Sports Physical Therapy and has a very good insight with everything as it comes to the sports and the physics behind and trying to really get you back on track. Let's bring on Mr. Yoni Rosenblad. Yoni. There he is. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, how's that? You got me?
Good. Can you hear us?
I got you. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. It's a little bit blurry right now, but we can still hear you, right? You can hear us?
I got you.
Okay. Well, I think the biggest thing started off, give us a little bit of your background. I said, obviously, your profession, but you've worked with a lot of athletes over the years. Just give us a little bit of backstory to your connection in the sports world.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to school to be a sports physical therapist and rapidly realized that most physical therapists have no idea how to rehab sports injuries. Once I got out and kind of figured that out, that is my true passion, I decided to open up my own place in 2014 in Fells Point, which is the mecca of athletics. And it kind of skyrocketed from there. I've worked with the Israeli national lacrosse team. I worked with Israel baseball at the World Baseball Classic, treated tons of professional athletes from the Ravens and the Orioles and guys from across the country that are just kind of passing through Baltimore. And I consult with a number of organizations treating athletes at their highest level. And that's what we do. We provide the very best to the world's very best.
You do. And actually, a couple of those guys specifically, I know very well. Both are friends of this specific program here, and they've raved about you, just the work that you've done. This is a question. It's kind of a pandemic right now in the pitching sense, or in the baseball world. It is the pitching injuries. And the recent one right now is Grayson Rodriguez, but it's not an elbow injury. It's shoulder inflammation, and maybe you can kind of, it's a broad topic here. We'll start with that, but initial thoughts here on what could possibly be going on and what you have to do to kind of get back on track. Because again, this is also May 2nd as we're talking about this, and there's still a full slate of the season left.
Yeah, you have so much time left. And so when it comes to shoulder, shoulder is my favorite joint in the human body. It is a freaking miracle it ever works properly. But when you try to boil it down, it's either the guy's labrum, so that's the inside of the shoulder, or it's his rotator cuff. Those are the muscles that pass over the shoulder. And based upon what we hear, at least from the team, they're not going to tell us much, but there's some type of inflammation going on. I'm sure they took an MRI. I'm sure they realized that there isn't catastrophic damage. Otherwise, you'd see a different result than the 15-day IL. And so he probably got some anti-inflammatories in there, both probably taking medication as well as an injection. And they're going to try to let it calm down. Now, hopefully, this guy is hounding the strength of his rotator cuff muscles. And so waking those muscles up, getting them stronger so that he can support the entire structure across so much of the season that's left. Interesting point is the shoulder actually gets stiffer and weaker the more you pitch. So you want to see these guys keeping up with what they call their arm care and strength, because the more you throw a baseball, the worse your shoulder works. So I'm sure he's working hard at getting that strength back and calming down that inflammation with the medication.
Yeah, and we talked with Jeff Passan, the one of the top reporters in the baseball world, Yoni, and he was saying that, and I think Zach, you even pulled up that graphic of guys that throw with the most velocity.
Yeah.
The top 10 in velocity alone, all are on the IL or out except for one, and that's Hunter Green, right, Zach?
Yeah, only one of the top 10 velo guys are not on the injured list right now.
So that's crazy, and I know it's not an elbow issue, and actually that's going to lead into the next question. But before we get to that question, just to go with the shoulder, I think I'll be honest, guys. When you think about this, I've been around the game for a while. I never heard about Grayson, like the shoulder getting stiff. Yeah, I've heard about our arm getting weak, but the stiffness in itself, then, Yoni, that's a whole other different element. People just think about you losing strength, but if you lose mobility, is that fair to say, in the region? Exactly. That's what can cause people to kind of overcompensate. Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about?
You sound like you know what you're talking about. You're just maybe a little bit off. And so
perfect.
The shoulder does get stiff as hell. I saw a professional baseball player recently that developed something called a frozen shoulder, where he can't even lift his shoulder up above shoulder height, right? So that gets really hard to achieve any type of velocity when that transpires. And then because you're not using all of that range of motion, then the shoulder gets very weak. So when doing it properly throughout the season, we're talking healthy or injured, you want to make sure that before every start and after every start, you're making sure that you're maintaining that range of motion, so that you can then move the muscles appropriately. Remember, think about those stills right before the pitcher starts to come forward in his motion. His arm is totally laid back, as we call it in the biz, right? So it's got to totally externally rotate. If you start missing any of those degrees of motion, your velocity will dip and you're at a much higher risk for injury.
I think every single one of us in here, you can't see us, are all moving our arms around.
Yeah, I was sitting there doing this the whole time.
Of what different motion. But again, that's fascinating. That's why there's so many more intricacies to, players and pitchers in general, where everyone just thinks there's a lot of similarities, right? But there's so many little things that go into it that can just throw you off, which is fascinating. But one thing, I guess it's been a common thing, and Kevin, this leads into your question, is what's going on with the UCL in pitchers. And we just mentioned so many are out. So Kevin, if you want to take that away.
Yeah, Yoni, there's been a lot of conversation just about the pitching injuries throughout the league this year, specifically, the elbow soreness, the UCL, as Ryan talked about. And there's been a lot of conversation about, with this pitching epidemic, how far down it goes, because you can talk about guys throwing hard at the pro level, but this is after them throwing hard in the minors, throwing hard in college, throwing hard at the youth level. So in your opinion, is there any fix to this? Is it just inevitable that when you throw as hard as some of these pitchers do for as consistent and as long as the time of they do, is it just, all right, there's going to be some level of elbow injury that happens at some point in a lot of these guys' careers? Or is there anything that you think teams can do, or even down to the youth level, that those coaches can do to try to stop this?
Yeah, I mean, the two highest predictors of elbow injury is velocity. So you guys mentioned that the harder these guys throw, the more likely it is they end up on the IL, and you're seeing it with the top 10 velo throwers in the game, that they're all sitting on the IL. And then you also talk about reps. And so you talk about pitch counts. Now, we used to think that it was all about the curveball, and that's really become antiquated. It's all about velocity, and it's all about pitch counts. And so at the youth level, they're putting in some rules to space that out. But dude, this showcase world is a huge moneymaker for guys at True Sports. I mean, guys ramp it up every single weekend over and over and over. And as soon as you let go of that baseball, those pitchers are turning around and looking at the gun to see how hard they've thrown. And so that's going to be a massive predictor of what you're going to see. The other stuff at the big league level is really about the spider tack as well, where they're just not getting the same grip on the baseball, and so they have to bear down much harder. That puts a huge amount of stress along your forearm. Just picture something gripping as hard as you can and then trying to throw it as hard as you can. So they got to grip much harder without the spider tack, so you're going to see those injuries skyrocket. And then you heard Verlander really speak on it eloquently when he talked about that pitch clock, that guys are taking half as long now to throw at max intent without spider tack. Of course, their elbows and shoulders are going to blow up.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting with that, because people look at the grip is everything. And when you have to change your grip, change anything, and it throws you off of your normal movement or habit, you're going to tend to put more stress and strain, especially when it happened. I think Glasnow was the most at the time, because it felt like he had to change what he specifically does. And then you put your body in a uncomfortable spot it's not used to, you're more cases for injury. We want to switch to talking about Trout for a second, but to close it out, someone asked, and it's a great question, with Grayson Rodriguez and the shoulder inflammation. Sorry, I want to go back to that for 1 second. What's the minimum time you think you could be out, and what's the maximum if it's, if it's, they're just calling it inflammation? We might have lost him for a moment. It's always good being frozen in place. It's how I usually feel when I'm have to answer some really tight or some really uncomfortable questions that my family asked me.
Do you remember that challenge people did when you had to go like
what, the mannequin challenge?
Yes, there you go.
I don't think I ever did the mannequin challenge.
Well, you should have.
I think you were just stopping what you were doing.
I'll tell Yoni, if you can hear us, why don't you try to exit out and come back in? Perfect. Okay. Or I'll text him right now. But I just went
backstage. Okay,
perfect. So we can have him answer that, and maybe in the moment here, while we actually are trying to figure this out, and we'll have him answer the Grayson question at the end. But why don't we talk about the Trout conversation? Because Stephen A. Smith on ESPN made a comment here about Mike Trout's injury. And I really am curious about Yoni's perspective on this. But I mean, look, Stephen A. Smith didn't hold anything back on how he felt about the injuries that Mike Trout was having, and how he thinks that Mike Trout is more to blame. So let's take a listen to it, Brad.
It's driving me crazy. And let me tell you this. Mike Trout is a sensational player when he's healthy. One of the greatest. He really, really is. And I'm a huge, huge fan. But I've grown disgusted with his lack of availability. It makes me question. I know he looks the part. What the hell are you doing to take care of yourself? Always injured. I mean, damn, it's baseball. I mean, what are you talking about here? It's not football. It's not boxing. It's not the UFC. You're not running up and down the court 94 feet basketball for 82 nights a year. It's baseball. Half the time y'all out standing out in the outfield, chewing on pumpkin seeds or something, waiting for a fly ball to come your way. How the hell is he always hurt? I don't understand this.
He is always hurt.
It drives me nuts when I see baseball players getting hurt. What is it that you're doing with yourself physically that you can't stay healthy? Playing baseball. Now, you get hit by a pitcher, so that's different. I get all of that. But these oblique injuries, you're running around the base and catch a hamstring injury, you're running out for a fly ball, and all of a sudden something gets tweaked. What the hell is going on?
So there's a lot there. And Yoni, you're back. Can you hear us?
Back.
And you look great, by the way. You look great and sound great. But so you heard part of that. We'll go back to the Grayson Rodriguez question after this. But essentially, Stephen A. Smith saying Trout is more the one that should be blamed because of all these injuries, right? In your opinion here, what is going on overall with Trout in your eyes? And then you can talk about this specific injury. And is that a fair criticism to say that this is on Mike Trout? Because, I mean, I've played the game of baseball and they were saying, no, it's just playing baseball. There are so many things. And that's a comment personally that grinds my gears.
That sounds, and I love Stephen A. usually, but that sounds like a guy who's never played baseball in his life. So, I mean, playing baseball on a Sunday is one thing. Playing baseball Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is a totally different thing. And you're talking about Mike Trout, who's probably tipping the scales at 250. And if he was playing football, you know, the dude's running a 4.2. I mean, you're talking about some of the most explosive athletes in the world, and they got to do this over and over and over and over. It's not a knock on Trout. Maybe, and this is a personal bias, maybe it's a knock on the training staff. Maybe it's a knock on the strength and conditioning staff. You better believe Trout's giving it his all to be on that field. The guy lives and breathes baseball. So no, I think that's crazy that Stephen A. would put that on the player.
Yeah, and it is because there is so many more intricacies. And also the other part, you know, you can have bad luck, right? And we talked about your body being put in a weird position, whether you get hit by a pitch that can break a bone, having a swing where it's altered and you don't know what happens there. And Zach, what's your thought?
Yeah,
here?
I have a quick question. Does it actually, for baseball players, because there's so many times where Trout will be standing kind of just still in center field for 5-10 minutes at a time and then has to make a sudden burst, does that cause issues for baseball players where you are kind of relaxed and, you know, it's hard to stay loose? You know, football players, basketball players are consistently running and staying loose. Whereas for a baseball player, Stephen A's right. He can be standing out there for like 5 minutes straight, just kind of chilling, and then suddenly has to make a quick burst. Does that impact kind of hurt players more in some ways?
Maybe. I mean, just conjecture. I think more clearly we can speak to how many days of work these guys put together in a row. I mean, the NBA is strategic about how often they're getting their rest breaks or their days off. You'll see guys struggle mightily when they're playing back-to-backs. Baseball is 162 essentially back-to-backs. So I think it's more so just that overuse.
Yeah, it definitely feels like I don't know how to. Okay, I'm going to reword it here. I think that people want to look for a lot of different reasons of why certain guys get hurt. And again, once you get hurt, though, it's even more important in your field. You see when there are certain injuries that happen, and Trout's had a plethora of different injuries. The strength component, the rehab is such an important part of it because you're going to be more susceptible, right, in this situation. And that's what you've seen. So can you talk a little bit about what he's going to be dealing with his knee and kind of what he's going to have to do to get back? And do you kind of think he can get back before the end of the season?
Well, it totally depends what that MRI showed on his meniscus and how they're going to treat it, right? So if they go in, they're going to do surgery, right? So if they go in and do something called a meniscectomy where they cut out the little piece of tear, that's a far more rapid recovery than if they do a meniscal repair. Now, when this guy's 40, he's going to be thrilled that he had a meniscus repair. But if they repair the meniscus, you're looking at 6 to 9 months. If they cut it out, you're looking at about 3 months, right? So if it's just a meniscectomy, he can be back in 3 to 4 months at a very high level. The other thing to note, and Rip, you kind of touched on this, is really looking at the entire kinetic chain, right? So when this guy goes to unload and catch someone at third from center field, everything has to be working beautifully and in tandem. You can't just look at the knee alone. You got to look at the way the ankle interacts with the knee, interacts with the hip, etc., all the way up the chain, even more so with pitchers, I would say. So from a rehab standpoint, I think it's really important that we give time and attention to put that entire athlete or that entire kinetic chain back together.
Yeah, it's the little things that not everyone wants to do. And in the everyday life, that's what, you know, if you get hurt, I have a lot of family members or friends where some of them want to do the work, the physical therapy. And athletes, if you want to get back to that high level, you got to make sure that your body is going to respond the way that you hope. But regardless, if you're hoping for I say long-term success and long-term health, you got to make sure your body's feeling good. Or you're going to run into the same problems. The Trout thing's fascinating. It just stinks because then the other question is going to be down the line here. Yes, he wants to play, but where are they going to be? The Angels are not a team that's expected to be in the hunt. Trout is their one piece that was feeling good for them, and he was playing like an MVP, but now he's going to be out. Now I want to circle back because you went out with the Grayson Rodriguez shoulder inflammation, and people have asked, in your opinion here, what timeline could this be for Grayson missing time? Could he come off the IL right at the 15 days, or is this something that could prolong longer than people anticipate?
Yeah, I mean, it totally depends what's going on in that shoulder. If he has any structural damage, it's going to take far longer than 15 days. If he had a little bout of inflammation, they can calm it down. And remember, he's got to be rehabbing his ass off during these 15 days.
Yeah.
He's not just sitting around. It is totally normal to see these little blips of, hey, this got inflamed. Let's put some cortisone on it, calm it down, see if we can come up with a reason why it happened, correct those, and get the guy back out on the field. It's really, you'll see it though, come September. Like, where's this guy's velo going to be, right? Because now he's going to have a tendon that's slightly weakened by the cortisone. Maybe those muscles shut off. How long can he keep going at a high level? And by the way, you saw this coming back from UCL stuff as well. We saw it with Bradish. He got that PRP injection, which is when they pull your blood out, spin it down, and then put it back onto the injured area so that it can increase healing rates. They'll look really good for the short term. What do they look like in September? That can really be a toss-up.
And now that you mentioned that, and I just cringe thinking about the blood and the getting the.
I actually did not know that's what a PRP shot is. I just keep saying that PRP shot like I knew what it was. I'd be like, yeah, Brad's got the PRP shot.
Yeah,
medical professional Zach Bellinger.
Yeah, that is not in any way what I thought a PRP shot is. But the more you know.
We have not Dr. Bollinger with us here. But in all honesty, too, but that's the part. Maybe touch on this real quickly and we'll wrap up just, real quickly because we have another guest previewing the Reds upcoming with us. Kyle Bradish, then. I've talked to people. We were all tense today, Brad. Fair to say we were kind of like, nervous. Is this something for the rest of the season that you're just going to have to wait after every start and hope that things are going well? Or can there be this hill that Kyle Bradish has gotten over here that he's now back? Can you just kind of touch on the situation?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the word. Better word.
Yeah, there you go. I would say it's more of the cringe and the prayer after every pitch and after every
you had
start.
to say that.
I'm sorry about that. Just trying to be a realist. By the way, we saw this with Bautista, right?
Yeah.
He had a strain. They're gonna inch him back. He's looking good. I remember I was talking to my buddies about it, and they're like, Bautista's got this UCL thing. I'm like, dude, he's done for the year. They're like, no, he's going to rehab it. He's going to come back. And then they sent me clips of him throwing freaking hard off the mound. I'm like, dude, just wait. And so you just never know. Now, you do see guys bounce back. And if you do the rehab properly, sometimes the tissues respond. But I'm saying a prayer for Bradish.
Every night we do. Every night. And honestly, I know Zach's that's not the news.
We gotta get some of those long candles with Bradish on it and light them.
Okay.
Like a Bradish shrine.
Sure. That's not
pray
what
for.
That's going a little bit too excessive, Kevin. We're not going to add that to the show. But we appreciate your thought process. You're a good
Kevin
kid.
wants to summon like the afterlife to help Kyle Bradish.
Yeah.
If it help him win the World Series, I'll do it.
You know what? Kevin makes a point.
He does anything to win games here. Anything to win games. He's not wrong. And so we're going to have to wait. And that's something when I talk to Brad, I call him, we have Brad here, but I call Bradish Brad at times too. That was the thing is, he's understanding. He just wants to be out there. And Zach Lowther, pitcher with the Orioles and my former teammate, he's had the experience, 2 cortisone shots, and it is not fixed. It is a Band-Aid. And because the tear's still kind of going to be there, right, Yoni? Like it doesn't just go away.
There's no question. The worry is, you throw cortisone into a joint, cortisone just eats away at whatever's in its way. So usually it's inflammation, but it can also eat away at the tendons and sometimes make things worse. So that's why you go to PRP, because it increases healing as opposed to the Band-Aid.
That is fantastic. And last thing, just we're going to have you on in the future more because Zach's mind has been blown completely.
So, this is incredible.
And I think this is such great perspective for the game. But can you tell people, again, you have multiple locations. And again, I might need to talk to you because I'm trying to keep my knee health feeling pretty good, my body feeling good. What else do you have going on so people can follow you, know what's happening, and where, if you need help, where they can find you?
Hell yeah. So you can find us on Instagram easily, True Sports PT. We got 15 locations in Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Delaware with plenty more to come. We got a whole bunch of the world's best sports physical therapists providing one-on-one care in state-of-the-art facilities. So look us up, True Sports PT. Quick note, there is no way Dean Kramer MF'd that guy because that's not Dean. He's in Israel baseball. Come on, dude.
I'm glad you brought. Actually, I texted him, and he literally the response was, he goes, "Rip, you know I didn't say a word."
He did,
and this was the exact response, and I quote, "Love you, Dean." I go, "Did you Mother F soda the other day?" He goes, "No, LOL." Didn't say anything to him, and I go, "I know you didn't." He goes, "Whatever. Congrats on the solar homer, dude."
Oh my God.
But he's great. So Dean was my former teammate. So I love Dean. I'm a big Dean guy. So, and I know, shout out Israel baseball. He's
the man.
He's the man. Oh, Yoni, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on. And I get ready. I will bother you more, and you're going to blow Zach and Kevin's minds on more of everything that's going on in the sports world. But thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Thanks, fellas.
All right,
Thanks,
everybody.
Later on.
See, I knew Zach when he was going to tell you the truth about with Bradish. It was going to just scare the hell out of you.
I knew it was coming, and I was just praying he was going to be like, no, if he's gotten this far, like, he's good. And I was just living in denial. And then when he was like, yeah, pray every time, I was like, that's a lot. Like, there's so much worry. I'm not going to lie. After the first inning, I kind of like, we're good. Like, in the back of my head, I was like, just don't think about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's something that, the worst could happen, but you got to just enjoy your time, right? Don't focus on what can go wrong. Try to focus on what can go right. Right? Is that the thing? So, before we bring on our next guest, Trailer Breaks, appreciate you.
Ben, you're the man.
Thank you.
I'm going to stand up for that.
Yeah.
I'll stand up. We're good. I'll put the glasses on.
Yeah, put them on.
I'm working on the squats. I got to get with Yoni to work on my knee health, and it's been great. And maybe Rocco can work on his leg strength. He's catching. He's catching.
We keep doing it at the same time.
Yep. And Don, thank you as always. Great show, guys.
Does Yoni have any remedy for people butt hurt on Twitter?
Well, that's
probably not.
Probably not. But guys, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. The Ryan Ripken Show. We do this Mondays, Thursdays, Sundays, impromptu Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Really, any day that ends with the day you could see us. But the reason why we're on today, it's our regular scheduled programming. We have this on the audio version on Spotify and Apple, so listen there. The YouTube channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And now, Brad, our next guest, where you actually did the recon on this. So why don't you explain a little bit more about who we're bringing on and why because of this upcoming series?
Yeah, so we're bringing on Trace Fowler of Chatterbox Sports, their media platform that covers all things Cincinnati sports. And I'll let Trace talk to you guys a little bit more about that because I don't want to butcher anything. But I thought it was great that he wanted to come on. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Trace, what's going on, brother?
That's great. Fantastic. Thank you guys for having me. I figured, since the Reds have an off day, I'll find a way to talk about the Reds somewhere else. So, I'm just, we'll talk baseball. You want to talk baseball? We'll talk baseball.
Hey, we're the same way, right? When we talk about other things besides the Orioles, but it's hot right now. And when the Orioles aren't playing and they make a roster move, everyone loses their minds and we hop right on here. Love the basketball hoop in the background, by the way.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's part of the show. Part of the show. Yeah, we do some dunks after wins. Hasn't been many dunks as of late. So we'll see if we can't get some more here soon. Not looking good though. The schedule's not looking hot for the Red Legs, which unfortunately for us includes the Baltimore Orioles coming to town.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, I think we'll start this off there's a few ways we can start with this, but this NL Central is pretty open, right? And for this Reds team, a lot of people, I think, actually picked them to win the division this year. Why don't you give people a little bit more context about their team in general? Sure. Obviously, everyone's going to go Ellie De La Cruz, but then you had guys like Spencer Steer. Obviously, you have Abbott, Green, Lodolo, who I believe are the starters for this series, but this is a really solid team, and I'd like to say in some comparisons, they have a lot of young talent, almost in comparisons to that the Orioles have a lot of young talent.
Yeah, listen, there's two sides of Reds fandom. You have the pessimistic, negative side, and you have the super optimistic side. I think, and I try to land right in the middle, which I think that makes me a realist. You have one side of the aisle that's going to tell you that this team's going to probably lose 90 games this year, and the other side's going to say, just wait. We got a lot of young guys, just keep waiting. Well, they've been doing that for like 25 years. I'm 35 years old, I hate to admit. And the Reds have not really done a whole lot in my lifetime. Now, having said that, this young core group of players that came up, the optimistic side of the fan base would keep saying, look at the Orioles, look what the Orioles did. And that, I guess, for all intents and purposes, is a good testament to what you guys have done over in Baltimore. But for us, this has not been the start of the season that we were hoping for. Yes, the record looks okay, but you start the spring training off. You have excitement around really what I would say 4 guys, right, that are up and coming. You have Christian Encarnacion Strand, who right now is dealing with the day-to-day injury. He may or may not have broke his wrist and didn't know about it. I guess they took a look at it after he got hit on the hand the other night, and he had a previous fracture, which unbeknownst to me, I guess that you can see that. But he struggled this year, to be quite frank. You move on, Matt McClain. In my opinion, Ellie De La Cruz gets all the hype, right? He gets all the hype. I love Ellie De La Cruz. What I'm about to say next, this is no slight on Ellie, but I thought Matt McClain was going to be like the linchpin, the foundational piece for this franchise moving forward. Just a solid everyday player, a grinder. You know what you were going to get, and you expected consistency. Well, it's been anything but that after his kind of hot stint. Had an oblique injury, come into spring training. You thought everything was good to go, gets hurt again. And then all of a sudden now he's on the IL until August.
Yeah.
Okay, no big deal, right? All right, we'll get past that one. We got another guy, Noelvi Marte, third baseman. You might not have heard of him. Why? Because if you didn't pay attention last year, he hasn't played this year. Why? Because he thought, I don't know, steroids, good idea. Let's take those. Anyways, he's out for 80 games. So if you didn't keep track, you got a first baseman, a second baseman, and now a third baseman that you thought were going to have their sophomore campaign with the up-and-coming Ellie De La Cruz, and you thought, you know what, this is a new brand of Reds baseball. And so far we've gotten one of those pieces, and thank the Lord that Ellie De La Cruz has done what he has done, because if it wasn't for him, I think we'd have had a little more people coming from one side of the aisle of optimistic Reds fandom to negative Reds fandom. So that's the nuts and bolts of it. They've had some injuries. TJ Friedel's a guy last year that was their highest WAR player, best player. I mean, I don't know if you want to, I don't know how many analytics guys you got. You know, I try to be in the middle of it. I don't always get, I'm glad that Ellie can throw the ball 107 miles an hour, but I also like him to hit the guy in the chest. We kind of need the outs. Yeah. Outs are more important than maybe the 109 mile an hour fastball you threw over the field, but that's here nor there. So long story short, TJ Friedel, highest WAR player last year. He's out. You're catching the Reds at an unbelievable time. Right now, you know how bad it is in Reds fandom? We're arguing over whether or not we should bring up Mike Ford from Louisville.
Bring him up.
In DFA. And listen, in DFA, Nick Martini. You might say that, my man, but you better be careful, Rip, because I got news for you. Nick Martini hasn't hit boat, and he could fall, or he hadn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Could fall off a camel's back and hit sand.
It's just funny, Trace, because it's kind of like, where have we heard this before, gentlemen?
Yep.
I mean, we had
as soon as the Orioles
Jackson Holiday and Kobe Mayo and like Eston Kurz. I mean, it's the same story over here, Trace, but it's just with the Orioles. It's so funny that we have to tamper expectations as well. So it's kind of funny to hear you say that.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm glad you brought up Matt McClain, because actually of the guys I watched last year on the Reds, that to me was the most impressive, consistent player that they had.
He reminds me of almost like an Adley type player where he's just a glue guy. Like he's always going to go out there and he's not going to be the Ellie Gunner type where they're going to be the superstars, but Matt McClain just going to show up and get it done every single day.
He might end up being, and maybe Jordan Westberg might be a good comp for as far as the glue, where they're going to be productive. They're going to do a lot. They're going to be there in a lot of offensive categories. And for those real quickly, before we move to the next question, Matt McClain last year in 89 games, 16 jacks, 290 average, OPS over 864. The dude can play, and it's a big loss to a team. Baseman. Yeah, exactly. Like the dude is a dude, and he's a young piece that people don't talk about. It's the same thing here. The reason why I brought up the Jordan Westberg is everyone looks at Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, even Ryan Mountcastle, Cedric Mullins, whoever it's going to be. You forget about the other guys. Matt McClain, I think, is fell into that list. And Zach, do you have a quick question to follow up with that?
Yeah, I was just actually kind of talking about the struggles of the Reds hitters this year. Trace, has it been one of those things where it's just Ellie carrying the team, and if he doesn't do something super cool, there's no chance? Or is it bad at bats? What's going wrong with the guys? Obviously the injuries, but is there a specific thing they're not doing well? Or has it just been one of those years where everything seems to be going wrong to start?
Two things. I think you got a guy named Spencer Steer who's carried this bunch for probably the first, what I would call 2 or 3 weeks. He cooled off as of late a little bit, but Spencer Steer really kind of put the team on his back. And then you had Ellie De La Cruz. So between Ellie De La Cruz and Spencer Steer, you really needed one more person just to fill in the night, kind of per se. And then you kind of found a way to win. Now, we got a chance to play the White Sox. I don't know if you've seen them play this year, but we got to play them this year. That helped a lot. So that kind of helped a lot of guys' averages. But outside of that, it's been pretty pitiful in regards to the offensive production. And as to why, I know this is going to sound like a cop-out answer, but I just don't think there's that many big league hitters on this team right now. And I know you can blame injuries and all that, and that's some of it for certain. But Candelario, he came over here, and he was probably one of the few guys you could say, okay, you could look at the back of his baseball card, and he's probably going to be productive. Well, I don't know if you've looked at the back of his baseball card this year, but it's pretty piss poor, if I could say that. So, he has, to be fair to Candy, he has gotten a couple hits of late, so I'm hoping that he can kind of turn the corner here. But yeah, I mean, listen, we're running out lineups right now, guys, with Nick Martini, Espinal, Stuart Fairchild, Will Benson against left-handed pitching. It's not ideal. You literally are catching us at a perfect time. The only problem you guys have is you are facing our 3 best arms.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just gonna say that would be the one downside to the Orioles coming into this is, we feel great about the offense after today, but we've seen how some top pitchers can shut down this Orioles.
Well, and also the lefties too.
Yeah.
And with Abbott and Lodolo going, and then obviously Green throws absolute fuzz.
Gas.
And despite all the problems so far, and I don't know if it's updated from today, but the Reds offense as a whole, they're still, top 8 in baseball in runs per game, right? So it's, despite all this,
Ellie De La Cruz.
I mean, that's a big part of it. I'm actually going to do a breakdown of him later on in the show to show people really, like, in my opinion, and I tell people this all the time for playing, if you can use the whole field, you can be extremely dangerous. And Ellie's done that. And he also does it when he hits in the 6 hole, not in the 2. And I know that's a talked about subject, but prospects are big in Baltimore here. And I think, Brad, this was something you want to touch on because there is one specific player with the Reds that I think is a guy that we're not expecting right now, but is very intriguing that they have.
Yeah, man. So again, Trace, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate your insight. I did want to ask you about, because, obviously, as you had mentioned, the O's are coming in at a great time as the Reds are struggling. But listen, man, I'm 38 years old. I haven't, I feel your pain.
Yeah, we're in the same boat, my friend. We're in fact, I was rooting for the Orioles last year because I was like, those guys in that stadium, they feel the same pain I feel. At some point, one of us are going to win. And of course, it didn't happen. But I don't mean to bring that up. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it's all good. It's still exciting here in Baltimore for sure, regardless. But look, man, Cam Collier,
I knew you were gonna say him.
Top guy in the farm system. Is this another guy that they're going to be able to add to this ball club that kind of, to me, kind of gives Ellie vibes? He's got 933 OPS, tearing the cover off the ball, got 7 homers already and 25 RBIs. So far. I mean, we got a guy in Heston Kjerstad who did that and then got called up. Not saying he's gonna be called up anytime soon because obviously he's in high A versus AAA for Heston. But I mean, you got to be excited about this guy, right?
Yeah, and the good news is I think that fortunately for us that are on the optimistic side of Reds fandom, like, last year there was this talk over the fact that the Reds were finally in a pennant race, right? Like they had a chance to go out and get somebody. That's what everyone's like. Go get Lucas Giolito or somebody. It's like, oh, that's going to get us over the hump. Trade whoever you got to trade, and it's like we were defending Cam Collier. Like our show was like, we're not touching Cam Collier. If you look at what he was able to do last year, he kind of struggled a little bit. Still a young player. Like that's the thing that's crazy is he's what I think he's 19 years old. There's another kid in Edwin Arroyo who's right around just a little bit slighter older than him. Unfortunately, he did get hurt this year, so he has a little bit of setback. But they have depth at the minor league kind of the ranks that they've never had before. And that's probably the difference between where I would say this Reds franchise is now versus 6-7 years ago. Like there's some real pipeline guys coming up. Chase Petty's another one that comes to mind, but you're not going to have to worry about all those guys. In my opinion, I know that nobody does this in Major League Baseball, but I think that there's going to be a time in which they're going to make sure that these prospects that come up around the same time, so they can make sure that that window of opportunity all meets up. Perfect instance. Marte is a guy that would have burned up a year of a service time this year. I'm not saying it out loud. I wouldn't say this in front of our own fan base, but it's not the world's worst thing that you're trading Marte's age 22 year for age 28 year, probably. Again, that is, of course, if steroids weren't the reason he was good at baseball, but I don't think they were. But having said that, there's Cam Collier. It's like any other prospect. I will say this. I'm excited for him, but until you do it at the big league level, you can't get overly excited. But yes, Brad, there's no doubt in my mind. There's another guy, though, that I'll tell you. There's a kid named Jacob Hurtubise in our system that might help us relatively soon. I don't know if you probably don't pay attention nearly as much as we do, because if you ask me anybody in the Orioles organization at the AA level or below, I wouldn't know one single name. But having said that, there's a kid named Jacob Hurtubise. It's an odd story. He come from a military background, like as far as playing in college. And he was like, just on nobody's radar. And this dude just gets on base left and right. And unfortunately, if he didn't get hurt this past 3 or 4 weeks ago, he'd probably be on the big league club right now. But I don't think there's going to be anybody coming to save this team outside the guys that I just mentioned that were already hurt that are going to come back. So.
Well, I was going to say, you're sounding like, in some cases, you might sound like you're the Chicago White Sox at this moment, where
we're not the White Sox. No, I watched them play.
Yeah, they're tough. They got a few of them, a friend of the show, friend of the program here.
The Fighting Gavin Sheets.
The Fighting Gavin Sheets, to be exact. Gavin was one of my he's one of my best friends growing up. And Stuart Fairchild, actually, coincidentally, Wake Forest guy as well. So I've gotten to know Stu over the time, and hell of a catch the other day.
Love Stu, by the way. Stu takes so much slander in Cincinnati from non-knowledgeable baseball fans. It's ridiculous, which I'm sure happens. I'm sure happens in every city. But Stuart Fairchild is a very good outfield piece that can hit left-handed pitching at an elite level, and he's not supposed to face right-handed pitching. Now I know Stu probably would have enough of he probably would be proud enough to say, if you give me enough at bats right-handed, I can do it. Maybe he could. I'm not trying to say he couldn't, but I know this. He definitely can hit left-handed pitching.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. We had Ryan O'Hearn on the other day for the Orioles, and O'Hearn was talking about, and he crushes righties. And then he goes, you know what? Like, I just don't want to keep getting blown up by lefties. He even said, he goes like, so we're going to see a change. We're like, we believe in you, but I'll be honest, if we are going to be betting men, if there's a lefty on the mound, I'm betting the house that you're not in the lineup there, Ryan. And he had a good laugh with it, but he's been a great story. Stu, obviously a talented player that maybe in the right situation will get more at bats. But I think now let's just, as we kind of wrap up, so you can enjoy the rest of your Thursday night as well. But Kevin has one just kind of, now that we've gotten away from it, the Reds are still 16-15. It should be a competitive series. The Orioles have really struggled with NL Central teams, that they've been really tough series. Milwaukee really could have swept Baltimore. Pittsburgh could have gone either way. But Kevin, you want to wrap up a question here for Trace?
Yeah, Trace, just based off your knowledge of the Reds and also what you know about the Orioles, what are your expectations just in general for this series? You mentioned the Orioles coming to town for Cincinnati, not at a great time for the Reds.
Sure.
But do you think that this is going to be maybe a 2-1 Orioles take the series? Do you think that, the Orioles sweep the Reds, or do you think maybe the Reds can go ahead and go out there and win this series?
I don't think you'll sweep, just largely based off the fact that this Reds ball club is hot. They have a dynamite, or not a dynamite. That's definitely not. They have a dynamic of enough offense that they're able to score enough on a given night. The offense is not good consistently, but again, if Ellie De La Cruz gets on base 2 or 3 times, you're going to have problems, because basically a walk for him is legitimately a double like 80% of the time. And then from there, Hunter Green, Graham Ashcraft, or not a Graham Ashcraft. You guys are got Andrew Abbott. So you got Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, and Nick Lodolo, who I will say this out loud. This isn't a biased take. If Nick Lodolo is healthy, and Nick Lodolo is I would even say what he's capable, even semi-capable of, it doesn't even need to be his best stuff. He's a dude. He's one of the best pitchers in the entire league. The only reason he doesn't get talked about is largely because he's had injury history. He's not had a long enough of a consistent stretch of baseball that you would say, oh man, look, he's one of the best pitchers in the league. But it doesn't matter to the Orioles. They got to face him just one time on one night. Between those three arms, guys, I would like to say that the Reds are going to win one. But if you're going to ask me if they're going to win this series, I don't think anybody in Cincinnati right now expects them to win many series. And I know that sounds absurd and ridiculous and crazy when you look at a ball club that's got a winning record. But I would say this about the NL Central. I'm not suggesting that it's like an unbelievable division, but it's not a division with any really walkovers. The Cardinals, maybe. I'm starting to think now. You get your brain warped when you play in the NL Central long enough about the Cardinals. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like they're still good even when they're bad, maybe. But I think it's a tough division. I wouldn't say it's a great division, but I think it's a competitive division at that. You're not the Colorado Rockies aren't walking into town. I know. Shout out to Gavin. Close your ears. The White Sox walk into town. Maybe the Marlins walk into town. You're kind of like, all right, well, we got maybe we don't really need to play great and we'll still win. You don't really get that in the Central. So, unfortunately for the Reds, if they were all healthy, Ryan, I would honestly agree with you. I think that the Reds should and could win this division. And I know that everyone wants to use injuries as an excuse, but I mean, when you go down, in fact, the Reds opening day starter, Frankie Montas, he also went down. And it wasn't even because he got hurt. It's just he took a 105-mile-an-hour streaming line drive right off the old elbow. So hopefully he's back for his next start now.
Feels great. Feels great getting hit. 2 questions here to end it real quickly. We'll get you out of here. Zach Lowther, former Oriole. Here it is for those that are listening. Trace going to school in Cincy. Zach went to Xavier. Are you a Skyline guy or a Gold Star guy? There is one correct answer.
There's one correct answer, and he's going to say Skyline. And I know he's going to say Skyline. You know why? Because he went to Xavier. And I tell you why I know that is because when you go to Xavier, you come from the school of thought of being an uppity up type person sometimes. I have a lot of friends from Xavier, but you're not really about the grit. Now, having said that, Gold Star is slept on a little bit. It's just not the sexy pick. But if I were to have a friend in town, I'm going to agree with him. I just wanted to give him a little bit of riff there and say Gold Star is not nearly as bad, but you're going to go to Skyline. Yeah.
Good to know. So for those that are all even going up to Cincy, check them out. My girlfriend's family is from Ohio. You're damn right. When I went up there, they got me Skyline chili. Right. I'll be honest. That's what they did. Well, where can people find you on the way out here so they can obviously Chatterbox Sports? You are on YouTube. Is X?
Yeah, we're all over the place. So, I mean, we started our own little media company in Cincinnati. Fortunately for us, we've had some success, and we cover pretty much all things Cincinnati, but most specifically the Reds. For those that are interested in Baltimore, you're not going to give a damn about nothing in Cincinnati. So here's the thing I will give you of something of relative substance. If you like watching content after baseball games, we're crazy enough and dumb enough that we do a live post-game show on YouTube after every single game. We go live in the 9th inning. And then we do the show. It traditionally lasts about an hour after the game. And then we have a podcast every morning of the season. So we put out content a significant amount. So over the weekend, if you want to commiserate in the chat, perhaps after a loss, or perhaps you want to make fun of us because we have Kevin S. or not Kevin. I'm getting Santiago.
We have our Kevin over here.
Kevin's a good name. Kevin's a good name.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, I was thinking Kevin Newman, which that's not the case anymore. He's playing for the Diamondbacks. But we have Santiago Espinal, Nick Martini, and who else we have out there? Maybe Luke Maley. Listen, we have like 6 guys in our lineup hitting below 200 right now. So if you want to come in and make fun of us for that, you can. But
now what's going to happen is that the Reds are going to have the best offensive series of the
I'm trying my
year.
best, Ryan. I'm trying my best. It's the world's worst offense. You should see him.
Reverse psychology at its finest. But Trace, appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we will catch up with you soon in the future. All right.
Keep in touch, guys.
Trace Fowler, everybody.
Thank you, Trace.
Look at that clap, Kevin. Hey, you know what? He's real. He's real about the team and the passion of how he feels. And that, the fan bases, everyone has those, right? Where people says, oh, you probably have people complain. Yeah, people complained about Gunnar Henderson last year. Don't get me started on that.
People complained about Gunnar Henderson this year after the Pirates game. They were like, oh, this loss is on Gunnar.
Should we be concerned about Gunnar Henderson?
Gunner's been making some pretty bad plays. You mean he got to a ball that no one else would got to and then made a slightly bad off throw? It's just, yeah.
You know what I think? What I heard? I think Uncle Mike Elias said they were going to trade him.
Yeah, for
after that
cash.
play.
Yeah.
For cash.
For cash considerations. So because we have our next guest in the queue
Backstage.
for coming up here backstage, same thing, tomato, potato. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We are going to continue to break down this O's Reds series, and then we're going to talk more actually on the breakdown, which is that way. There we go. And Brad, again, I'll let you, because you helped orchestrate all of this. Let our viewers out there know who we have coming on next.
Yeah, so you guys might know Kevin from Locked On Ravens, but Locked On is everywhere. And in fact, I ended up finding a Jeff for Locked On Reds, and Ryan ended up reaching out to him, and he agreed to come on and figured it'd be a great opportunity to just talk a little bit of Reds before the series with the O's. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on Jeff. What's going on, Jeff?
Yeah.
How's it going, guys?
What's up,
Great
Jeff?
to be with you. Looking forward to a fine weekend series between our two ball clubs.
Are you one that's going to be going to the yard quite a bit, or you like to stay, or you're going to be there?
They're going to be, so they're giving away this cool Mandalorian t-shirt on Saturday. It's got the Mandalorian helmet, and it's got the Reds like City Connect C on it. Very much into that. Going to be there on Saturday for sure.
Are you into the City Connects for the Reds before we kind of dive into this? Because I'll tell you what, people in Baltimore are not in on the jerseys, but not for the reason you might think. It's because the Orioles just suck when they play in the City Connects. Like,
The jerseys are great, but the record is not
terrible. So I want your opinion. Are you a fan of the Red City Connect, and do you think that they should stay long term, however you might view it?
I am. I love the logo. I've got a hat that I love wearing the hat. I can't quite afford the jersey itself, but the jersey is very cool looking. And quite frankly, they made this jersey and really released it at the same time that they called up Matt McClain, Ellie de la Cruz. So there's like a little bit of a connection there where you guys say that the Orioles record isn't that great in their City Connect. Like, our City Connect is synonymous with the 2023 season. So it's always going to have a special place in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other part too, Felix Bautista got hurt in the City Connect.
Yeah.
So that's why everyone's like, no one's going to say it out loud. Well, I will. If MLB would allow the Orioles to
Burn.
possibly lose the jerseys, because we're not going to go that graphic there, Zach.
I would burn them.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, there it
Wow.
is. That's
All right.
anyway. So talk to us a little bit. We got a little bit of the lowdown with Cincy. First off, I really do like the stadium with Cincy. Energy up there seems to be back, despite I know that they're going through a lot of issues with the team and injuries and kind of up and down. But as we've talked about earlier, if you are going to have a chance to win any series, you got to have good pitching to start. And right now they have three good starters. It's supposed to be Green, Abbott, and Lodolo is going to match up. Maybe give a little bit of breakdown, because we talked about Lodolo right before you came on. Like, these are some really, really talented arms that the Reds have. And I actually personally think it's going to be a challenge for the Orioles, who are the best offensive team in the American League.
Yeah, the sky has always been the limit for this potential when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds rotation. That last year it was rough. They had a lot of injuries. There were, guys like Luis Sessa and Connor Overton that were getting multiple starts, Luke Weaver, and guys like that really made that look bad. But the good guys, the core players that are going to be here for years, were really starting to figure it out. And Hunter Green's last start, the fastball command was on point. And it's interesting because the consensus around him is that everybody in Redsdom that watches him is like, he needs a third pitch, got to get the third pitch going. Where's the third pitch? How many times did he throw the third pitch and things like that? He threw his fastball 72% of the time in his last start, and that really kind of like ticked some people off. But what he did was he put it exactly where he wanted it. It was a dot wherever he put it in the zone. And if you can do that, all of your other stuff sort of falls into place, and that's why he dominated the Rangers the way that he did. I'm looking for more of that in this in Friday night's game. And Andrew Abbott really is coming off of a couple of starts where he's not had his best stuff. He's worked around a lot of base runners. He's worked around a lot of different, not necessarily struggles. I mean, he had one start where he didn't give up any earned runs, but not one single inning did he go in order. It was, I want to say he had like 85 pitches through 4 innings, and that was kind of like, he doesn't really have his best stuff because he is efficient when he is at his best. If he is going 3-2 on most guys, that's when you know that you're going to get into the Reds bullpen pretty early on. But I think overall it's really going to set them up well for this series. Plus, I know that, you guys' past guest with Trace, you were talking a lot about the injuries and stuff. They should be getting Tyler Stevenson and Christian Encarnacion Strand back for this series. They've been without them. They've been on the bench, but not on the IL. The whole weird thing of like they're counting against the 26 man, but they're not available for the entire San Diego series. But all reports are they're going to be back in the lineup on Friday. So I'm looking forward to a very good series this weekend, especially when it starts with the guys that are on the mound.
Yeah, and I mean, for Hunter Green, by the way, and I love that you said, oh, people are worrying about him throwing his fastball. If you have an elite fastball, that's a freaking weapon. And that's what actually with Grayson Rodriguez, because, my background, Jeff, I played minor leaguer professionally for 8 years. A lot of these Orioles guys, coincidentally, are guys that were my former teammates, so I've watched them very closely. Grayson Rodriguez, I'd put similarly with Hunter Green in the sense, electric fastball, that sets up everything else. And if you can locate that, that can honestly be your best pitch. Now, Grayson has some good secondary pitches, so does Green. But when you throw that damn hard, that is something. Look what Mason Miller right now out of the pen for the A's. I mentioned him earlier, and Batista did it last year. Hey, 103, I'm going to throw it right down the middle. Try to hit it. Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Gunnar Henderson, he mowed them all down. Velo plays, but you have to, and some of those guys that aren't throwing 103, Green's only throwing 98, 99, or whatever it may be.
Right.
But you got to locate more, and you can have success. But, Zach, I think you have the next question.
Yeah, Jeff, thanks for coming on the show. But so you talked a little bit about getting to the Reds bullpen. I was just looking at Alexis Diaz's stats. He obviously is not having as dominant of a year to start as he kind of was last year. Can you kind of give us a quick breakdown of the Reds bullpens? Are there guys that Oriole fans should hope that they avoid deep in the games because they've kind of been shut down this year? Or how has the Reds bullpen been?
Well, it's funny because yesterday I definitely would have said Fernando Cruz, and then he gave up, a grand slam to the Padres, and he loaded the bases before that. So he had a really bad inning. But up until that point, he has been absolutely shut down. He has a splitter that, up until that game, was getting like swings and misses on 75% of the time he threw it. And my basic math says if you get 75% and you throw it 4 times, well, then you're going to strike somebody out. So he has been so phenomenal to begin this season. And I still trust him even after that little bit of a blow up, because when you're a relief pitcher, you get one outing that looks bad and it makes your entire ERA look horrible. And then people think that you're not good. And that's just not the case. And it's another case with a guy, Lucas Sims, on this roster that I feel really confident in whenever the Reds call on him to come out of the bullpen. And I think that, he's had a couple of rough outings too that have really buoyed his ERA, and a lot of folks are like, yeah, we don't want to see him anymore. But he's got a fastball splitter that he's been working on and a breaking ball that's just devastating whenever he's got his command on. So I think those two guys to get to Alexis Diaz, and Diaz has definitely been up and down to begin the season. Last year, up until June, I want to say he gave up like 2 runs in the first 2 months of the season. And so everybody thought that's who he was. But he went through some struggles. He pitched a lot last year. In fact, most of the Reds bullpen, I would deem as overworked because of how the starting pitching just did not help them or do them any favors whatsoever last year. But this year they're kind of getting regular rest, and there's not a whole lot of, boy, he pitched 4 times last week when you're talking about a given pitcher. Diaz is kind of getting used to that. And I've seen it where in his last outing, he had super command for the first 2 batters, and then it was walk, single, for a run, and you're just like, man, is he okay? And I think he's just trying to get into the groove. So I still think that he is that guy. He just hasn't quite shown it that.
We're good right now. Sorry, I actually accidentally muted myself. I was trying to fix some things behind here for a moment. But it's really interesting. The game that I think people are understanding more and more in baseball, the bullpen for every team is this important role that the manager has to do a great job of. that you're trying to mix and match matchups. Sometimes it's going to work in your favor, but really that's where you can win or lose a game. And for the Orioles this past series, bullpen was sensational that they had. And for the Yankees, to be honest, their bullpen is disgusting. Get Clay Holmes out of Baltimore, to say the least. Yeah. Holy shirts and pants. But Brad, I think yeah, you're muted for a second though, Brad. But I think just also you wanted to touch on, you kind of mentioned a little bit about division. And I think we want to dive a little bit deeper into that with you, Jeff, for this next question.
Yeah, Jeff. So I mean, the division actually looks really tight in DNL Central, and the Brewers were sneaky good. I don't know if anybody even realized they were going to win 90+ games last year, but we're getting into May. It's still a tight race with the Reds being back only 2.5 and a run differential that isn't all that bad either. In fact, it's better than the Cubs are. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on the Reds? We had Trace on, and I don't know how much of it you call it, but it kind of seemed as if maybe he felt a little bit bleaker than most as far as the Reds are concerned. But it's still early, right? I mean, I think that there's still a really good chance that the Reds could either win this division or get really damn close.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment there, Brad, because this division is going to be the Cubs and the Reds fighting it for the rest of the year. I don't buy the Brewers. Last year I did. Last year they had the pitching to get there. This year they don't. There's no Woodruff. There's no Burns. You guys got Burns, so congrats. Thank you for taking him out of the division, by the way.
You're welcome.
I'm really glad.
But the Brewers actually DL Hall's out, and Joey Ortiz has done some good things. Yeah. But
yes,
but you're welcome. That's what we're hoping to do. People helping people. But continue on, Jeff.
Exactly. And I don't really buy. I think they're going to fade a little bit, and they're still in that mode where do they rebuild? Do they retool? Rebuild kind of feels like a four-letter word for a lot of teams, but do they reset a little bit with the young guys that they've got coming up, and Churio, who's already there, and they've got a lot of other guys on their way. So I really think that it's Reds, Cubs, then you have Brewers, Cardinals, and the Pirates are just somewhere in this. I don't really know what to make of them. They've got a lot of talent, but right now they can't hit. And that's really where the bulk of their talent is. So I don't know why they're not hitting and why they're pitching pretty good. I'd be interested to see how they move, and whenever Paul Skeens gets to the major leagues, I don't know why he's not here yet, the way that he's pitching in AAA. But
oh gosh,
he's killing it. I'm a little worried about him coming up for the first Reds series, and then there's some sort of weird magic voodoo stuff that they get out of that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, when it comes to this division, though, I think it's Reds, Cubs. The Reds just have to get through. So the Orioles are really the third team in this gauntlet of a schedule that they've got for the next 3 weeks, where it's just playoff team after playoff team after team. Barely just missed the playoffs last year. And then they've got a 12-game West Coast road trip, pancaked in between, no off days whatsoever. And you're like, man, what are they going to look like after this? Just give me 500. If they come out of this, if it's Memorial Day and we're welcoming the Cardinals in and we're 500 at that point, they're cooking with gas. I feel good about them. I'm not worried about the schedule and the losing 3 of 4, because this team, as currently constructed, waiting on the injuries to come back that they are, is a 500 ball club.
I love that assessment, because I tell people this, and what we were just talking about earlier about the first month of the season, you want to feel like your team's in the race. Mm-hmm. White Sox not in the race. Marlins not in the race. The Rockies well out of the race, and they've had other issues going on here. That's a different story. But you want to just be in it. And I'm with you on that. Memorial Day, stay in it. You're around 500. Teams can go on runs, and that will be very interesting. And honestly, that's a kind of an underrated quality to kind of how to look at that. Underrated in the sense, weather the storm, whatever team can weather the storm, the tough part of their schedule, can hopefully open up for more opportunities as the summer heats up and your team can maybe get healthier and get hotter. But since I use the word underrated, Kevin, you want to talk a little bit about some guys that maybe are underrated for this upcoming series?
I do, Jeff. Good to see you. I love the background going on, but my favorite thing, and I bother Ross about this all the time, is the StreamYard duck in your bag.
It's a joke at this point to put it back there.
Literally, my favorite. I need to find a way to get myself one of those, but it's hilarious.
Wait a minute. There's a duck.
Yeah, look at it. Look at his back.
Oh, hey, now it's literally a duck there.
Look at how cool that is. So
hell yeah,
I need to find a way to get one of those. But regardless, Jeff, when you're talking about this series, for maybe people who aren't as familiar with the Reds and who's on their team, you've mentioned a bunch of names throughout this, but are there any underrated, maybe one or two Reds that Orioles fans should keep their eye on? And then for you, are there any Orioles players? They can be stars, they can be underrated guys that you're looking forward to seeing play the Reds or that you have your eye on?
Got to start first on the Reds side with Will Benson. Last year, he had a huge struggle. What was like 0 for 4 or 1 for 41 or something like that. Got sent down to AAA, was called back up in the middle of May, never let go. Hit like 350 the rest of the way from that point on. And it was clear that he was going to be a big part of this team moving forward. He has once again kind of started slow, although we've seen some power, seen a little bit better than what we saw. It's better than 1 for 41 out of him to begin this season. And I really think he's going to get going here soon. I kind of have him tabbed as a guy to keep an eye on in this series. We've seen a lot of great defense from him. His biggest question was, can he hit both righties and lefties? And that's still a work in progress because he was a platoon guy last year where if a lefty hit the bullpen, David Bell was bringing somebody off the bench to hit for him. So this is a thing that they've really let him try a little bit more as the season has gone along, and there's been mixed results, but I think that will come along, and they've been batting him leadoff here recently, and he has got a very great eye at the plate. You're going to see him strike out looking a couple of times because it's just going to be a perfect pitch that you probably get a good frame on or something like that, and the umpire behind the plate calls it a strike, and Will Benson's going to look back and he's like, it wasn't a strike, but I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to go to the dugout now. I really am looking forward to see what Will Benson has in this series. And then from maybe a standpoint of, I think people are starting to sleep on him around Cincinnati, is Tyler Stevenson. Like, having not seen him for the last couple of games, which has been a bit of a pain point for me on the podcast here recently, because why are we just, forcing the issue, keeping him on the bench and making us shorthanded on the West Coast? I digress on that. Tyler Stevenson is going to have a good weekend because he has been hitting the ball super hard. I think when it comes to the barrels statistic over at Baseball Savant, and I don't know what you guys think about analytics. I try to marry it with the eye test. I'm not an all analytics or all eye test kind of guy, but his barrels are like tops. He's like one of the top 5 hitters in the majors when it comes to getting them barrels and hitting the ball hard. He just hasn't had the results. His BABIP has been super low, and I think that they're starting to find the gaps. His line drives are finally starting to find some grass, and he's finally getting those hits, but he's been hitting the ball well all season, so he's just been getting unlucky. I think that's going to continue in the series, and defensively, he has improved. Like last year, he was one of the worst framers in the league. He's gotten a lot better at that this year, so I look for that to continue. And then on the Orioles side, I'm looking at this guy because I got him in my fantasy league. I'm excited about Colton Cowser and seeing what he's going to be doing in this series. Like, picked him up early on this year, and man, I've been reaping the benefits of that because he's been looking good.
Very damn good. He is on a tear, to say the least. Except he's in a little bit of a quote unquote slump. 1 for 12 or something like that.
1 for 12 in the Yankees series, but other than that, he's been tearing the cover off the ball.
Yeah, so the Orioles will get rid of him soon for 1 for 12.
Yeah, cash considerations.
Yeah,
get him off the team.
Gotta love it. Actually, I wanted to. The last thing when you mentioned Will Benson, I faced him when he was with the Lynchburg Hillcats, which is the Guardians. Was the high A team when I was there, and the thing for him was a lot of power. If he made contact, that ball was hit to the moon, but he did strike out a lot. Did not hit for a high average, but that's kind of the risk reward with him. And I'm curious with it, but that's a guy that you do not want to let beat you, because if he does and he gets hot, he can win a game for a team. He really can on that end. A couple fun things. First off, I was just realizing, Jeff, your voice, I could listen to you talk all day. I really could.
Thank you.
I mean, really, by saying that, Zach brought it up and he's looking at me like it's his, but I'm thinking smooth jazz, but it's not jazz.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Your voice is magical.
Zach's almost felt like he's in like a hypnosis over there.
After I learned what a PRP shot is earlier, so much has gone down today.
Yeah, Zach did learn a lot. Before we let you get out of here, some fun things. So we had the question before, though, and this is Zach Lowther, former Orioles pitcher, Ohio native. Are you a Skyline guy or what was the other name on there? I just missed the comment.
Gold Star.
Or Gold Star.
What are we?
So in the either or, I'm a Skyline guy.
Okay.
But it's blue ash chili all day because they add a little bit of smokiness into it. So the whole thing with Cincinnati chili is that it's a little bit sweet, really more of a sauce than it is a chili. I've talked to a couple of folks that are like, I've had some Skyline chili, but I didn't get the hype. I'm like, well, what'd you have it on, a hot dog, or did you have it on spaghetti or what? And they're like, no, I got a bowl of it. I'm like, you got a bowl? You don't get a bowl. You don't get a bowl of it. You get it on a hot dog. You get it on some spaghetti. If you want to go a little crazy with it, you get a Chilito. Those are really good too. But Blue Ash Chili, for me, their chili is fantastic. And then their menu is amazing. They've got double-decker clubs. They've got a slaw dog, which is actually a coney, and they replace the cheese with slaw. Tastes amazing. They got breakfast there. It's a fantastic. I'm a Blue Ash Chili all day, but if I got to pick one or the other between Skyline and Gold Star, I go Skyline.
And Zach right here is saying Blue Ash has some hidden gems. So he's with
amazing.
Yeah, amazing. And last thing, because you mentioned about putting it on a dog, Brad. I think we know where we're going to go with this one. There's a big question that goes around Baltimore here. Brad, do you want to do the honors here?
Yeah, Jeff. So we got a sponsor here is Stuggys. It's finally just joined the crew as far as supporting the channel. And so we just figured, in honor of Stuggys, we got to ask you what you put on your dog. So is it just a traditional mustard ketchup relish, or you talked about chili? What's going on your dog, man?
I think if I've got the choice of everything, I am going chili and cheese. But most of the time, if I'm in a pinch, it's mustard and relish, and it's got to be dill relish. I'm not a big sweet relish guy. Dill relish over sweet relish for me.
Okay, I can live with that. Not ketchup. I think it's your mustard.
Yeah, not a ketchup.
Yeah,
guy.
mustard.
No.
Yeah, I'm relish. Yep, I'm the relish guy.
And so Stuggys, by the way, does specialty dogs. I don't consider specialty dogs as putting condiments on. So like chili, I consider would be a specialty dog, right? Mm-hmm. That's just in my opinion. Yeah. Condiments to me, relish, mustard, ketchup, whatever you want to do. And so in Baltimore, Stuggys is known for a crab mac and cheese dog, which I've had now the last 2 days of going to the ballpark. And then I got my plain dog because I like eating a plain dog, Jeff. It gets frowned upon, but I think it's one of those delicacies. If you really like a hot dog, you eat a plain too. So I digress with that.
There's a special night at the ballpark on Tuesdays called 3-2-1 Tuesday, where they have deal on beer, dogs, and ice cream. Ooh. And the $2 dogs that you can get. I almost feel like it's an unwritten rule that you can't put anything on them anyway. You just get them, eat them out of the wrapper. That's what you do because it's Tuesday, and that's how that rolls. And then kind of on the specialty dog side of things, there's a place up here, and I'm blanking on the name of it, but there's a place up here that's a food truck, and it does a poutine dog, putting poutine on a hot dog. And that, don't eat it on a hot day, but that is a fantastic dog.
Yeah. I think if it's on a hot day, there's a warehouse dog at Camden Yards. We all had it here, minus Kevin, and holy shirts and pants. Nausea, heartburn.
It's a foot-long hot dog with way too much stuff on it. It's incredible tasting, but after you eat the entire foot long, it is.
Write this down for when I get to Baltimore. I'm definitely going to order one of those.
Hey,
you got to.
And if you come to Baltimore, let us know. You can link on Locked On. See, Kevin, he reps the Locked On.
I have that shirt. Oh, I have a shirt. But they give us a bunch of stuff.
And
it's
you
great.
wear none of it.
I've worn it before. Yes, I have.
You wear your 70 polos, and
that is true. Well, I also have a Locked On polo.
I'm happy you wear polos. It's better than Zach. This is the most
from the yard. I am so sunburned. My mom is gonna kill me. Oh, she told me to put sunscreen on, and I was like, "No, Mom, I'm good."
Yeah, you're still at the you're a good kid, Jeff. So where can people, if they want to get anything that's Reds related for you, obviously, because the Locked On references, you do Locked On Reds. Where can people find you? What can people do to get more of your content?
Locked On Reds is everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube as well. You can also follow me on X at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs, and go to si.com/MLB/Reds. The name is coming soon. We'll actually have a name that sounds a lot catchier than that, but I write over there as well.
Hell yeah. Amazing. And if you come to Baltimore and you need suggestions, or you just want to say hello and we can have Zach walk you through the warehouse dog yet again, or Kevin hasn't had it, it can be a Locked On moment.
That'd be awesome. Oh yeah.
That'd be great.
Locked On warehouse dogs.
And I will bring the Pepto-Bismol and the dude wipes in case you need some help. So, but Jeff, we appreciate you taking time on Thursday. We will be in touch in the future, and you have a great rest of your night, all right?
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me.
Jeff,
Thanks,
everybody.
Appreciate it.
That was awesome.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Oh, come on. Get off of here, Rock.
We were just having a great moment. We had some great guests.
Thanks
and
for
then,
responding to my text, Rocco.
I did do that.
No, you didn't. I see it right here.
I didn't know we were having a fourth guest come on.
and
already.
our recurring guest was not supposed to show up yet. Holy shirts. Yep.
Can I?
Yeah.
This guy.
Kevin's
is
too
this-
high. Too high.
Is there a gray text as the last text sent?
No.
Nope.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's tough.
Kevin's real big in his feelings over that.
Yeah. Two guys big in their feelings right there.
All right, I do want to bring
It's
up
just-
though, his voice was incredible. The
Yeah,
second
listen,
he got on Jeff, I was like, wow, he has a voice made for this.
If he,
Well,
if-
and he like knows his shit too. Like I was
Oh, yeah.
really impressed. Like no disrespect to Trace. Trace is great too, but like I would love to. I wish the Orioles play the Reds more often. We could talk to that guy all the time.
I would
Yeah.
honestly, if I don't have a sleeping app too, but if he read me a bedtime story and I could put that on, I would put the glasses on. I would get vertical. Well, let me see if I can get a little vertical. Here.
This is not a good idea.
This is
You
here we
get
go. We're doing
horizontal.
well.
You mean?
Oh yeah, I'm vertical right now, horizontal, and you're just chilling and just let Jeff tell you one of the best stories from
Yeah.
It's like
folktale,
a-
if you will.
Like a Morgan Freeman kind of vibe.
Yeah. Jeff is awesome. He's a good dude.
He's a
good dude.
good dude. Finally,
Did you know
we
Jeff
got
before, Kevin?
Yeah, so when the network got us started on video, we did restream for a pretty long time, about a year or so before we moved over to StreamYard, and they placed me in the Cincinnati because we had to share the room with about 3 other shows, and it was fine because actually our group worked really well. It was me, the Bengals, the Reds, and I think Louisville was in there too. And we actually had a very nice routine of, I'd record at 6 p.m. I think Bengals would go at 5:30. I think Reds would go after we went. It was a very nice system. And, Jeff and everybody, Bengals guys, it all worked out really well. So he's a good dude.
And then you got your own time and you're like, well, I guess I can record at 3 a.m.
Well, no,
now.
that was the other thing where if I didn't record, that's how it kind of started with that. Because if I wasn't recording at 6, then another show would have a time and I couldn't record. So then I'd just be, I'm just going to take the room super late because no one's going to be in there. So that's kind of how that went. But it worked out. It worked out really well.
it did work out, and you're a good kid. I'm proud of you. I don't say that often,
Thank
Kevin,
you.
and
Thank
don't
you.
get used to it.
Well,
But I'm proud of you.
I've won a half point on Kevin Oki today, so that's why you should. be
No.
proud of me.
You didn't win
No,
a half
you did
point
not.
because you rapped a song that that does not count.
No one even said if they liked the nickname, by the way.
Yeah, we all
We
said
actually went,
liked it.
ooh, that's pretty good. And then you went,
Oh.
oh, does that count? Does that count?
Maybe I was
Yeah.
so caught up in my points.
You were.
You
Well,
were.
hey, guys, since you're caught up in that, I don't want us to get lost in this.
Lost in the
and
sauce.
Lost in the sauce. And my mic just keeps going limp here. So the thing here in general, we're just having a conversation. Hit that like and subscribe button here. As Ryan Ripken Show, we do this every Monday, Thursday, Sunday. What's the problem with that
Well, I
word?
didn't. I'm not the one. It's the 38-year-old child we have.
It's a good
Brad-
kid.
Brad started it.
Yeah. But hit that
I
like
feel
and
like the
subscribe
older
button.
you get, the more immature you get, or maybe
Yeah.
you just
yes.
there's like a ceiling of maturity, and you just never go above that.
Yeah. The
Ceiling of maturity.
38-year-old Rocco is going to be something.
I'm not 38.
I didn't say you were. I said
Oh.
going to be.
the mic went limp.
Oh,
And it could use a blue pill, Victoria. The mic. could.
funny story. That was actually my first ever ad I read on
Re-
any show.
Really? Do you remember the read?
I've
Why?
told you this. I've told you guys. I mean, I guess I'll say it here too. Where the first ever ad I did, literally, when the network brought me on, it was I was finishing up my internship with them. I was their social media guy right when we were first getting started with that, and they didn't have a Locked On Ravens guy. It was the only NFL team they didn't have, and I said, oh, just kind of like, oh yeah, and I know my stuff on the Ravens. If you need a guy, because the show had been inactive for like 6 months at that point. So I was like, hey, if you need a guy, and they're like, oh, all right, cool. And I had never done radio, never done any media like that. I sent in a demo. They gave me the show, and then I think it was literally like my last day or last couple of days. I was out in LA doing that internship before I flew back for my senior year at college, and I was going through the ad schedule, and we had an ad for Blue Chew as the first ad. And if you don't know what Blue Chew is, essentially it is
male enhancement.
Yes, exactly. So, everybody in my family was super excited for my first episode. Don't listen to it, by the way. It is awful.
I'm going to have to go back and find this.
I have to listen to it.
I didn't know about voice inflection or how to use voice inflection. So, and I was actually very nervous to do it. I sat in my bed in LA with Skull Candy earbuds, and that was my setup the first time I did it because I didn't have anything. So my family's really excited, and my parents were in Ohio visiting my grandparents. And so, everybody's gathered around the phone, right? They're excited. They're listening. And I say, all right, we're going to go to our first break. We'll be back. And then I say, are you having trouble in the bedroom? And, go on the whole spiel about it. It was my first ever ad. And I'll never forget it because my parents were like, my grandparents were like, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? So my first ever ad was
Grandpa knows.
Done.
Oh,
Grandpa knows.
Oh, yeah.
Having trouble in the bedroom.
I think,
imagine the first.
Oh, it's going down.
I think you
Oh
should.
my God. This
Rip,
is this.
no, you could start throwing
Oh,
like
there it goes.
sunflower seeds or
Okay.
peanuts. At it. Just start throwing them at the mic and then
See what happens.
might have
See
mind of
if,
itself.
Should we go to Kevin's corner?
see if it hits. We might need to go to Kevin's corner here. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button.
I have a good poll. Speaking of sunflower seeds,
I've had a poll.
We have a
since
poll
the
right
start of the
Oh,
stream.
yeah. We
This
haven't
thing,
even
this thing is
done-
not staying up now. But can we? What's the poll?
So the poll is: which superhero team would you rather join? The Avengers, Justice League, X-Men, or Fantastic Four? There's 179 votes, and the Avengers are in the lead at 41%. Justice League 22, X-Men at 31, and I think like 5 people voted for the Fantastic Four, which I think is sad because you want to be with the Thing, you want to hang out with the Thing and Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman. I mean, that's still pretty cool. But I guess maybe it's not as cool as being with X-Men. I would go with X-Men, I think.
I would
Avengers
too.
sounds cooler.
Yeah.
X-Men. I know there was a lot of controversy about the last 2 movies, and everything, but I really liked the X-Men series, so I'm gonna go X-Men.
Heck, I'm going Avengers. I changed mine.
It's like when you're putting a team together, you're not putting together the Justice League. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, they just assembled the Avengers.
Yeah, that's what I literally was saying. I want to say Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
That's the selling point for me.
The only thing, honestly, I just want to say News Team Assemble because I'm just a big Anchorman guy. But
Oh,
Kevin, you
yeah.
haven't seen it. News Team.
I have seen it. I have seen it
You've-
actually,
you've
just
seen
not
the second one.
all the way. Yeah.
The second
Actually,
one.
Well,
that's-
that's escalate quickly.
That's a good question. That's a good question of like which like superhero team has the best catchphrase, because I would make the argument that Captain Planet probably has the best one.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Captain
I don't know.
Oh my, Captain Planet?
No, I don't watch. I never watched.
Can you
like,
can you
superhero.
say the punchline?
No.
Yeah, it says with our powers combined.
Oh, is that when they do like the rings?
They
and
do,
the-
yeah,
Oh.
the Earth,
Oh,
Wind,
yeah,
Fire.
yeah.
Mhm,
Okay, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Don't act
Captain
like
Planet.
you guys know what we're talking
I-
about.
All the
I
rings
said
touch.
it.
All the rings touch, and they like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the ring
and that's
lights.
Captain
Mhm.
Planet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I
They
didn't
become
know.
Captain Planet.
I
Earth,
thought Captain
wind,
Planet was
water.
like Earth Day.
Hell.
I thought it was like we're talking about Earth Day, like
Mm.
because isn't there a Captain Planet that like comes around every Earth Day to like tell people like not to recycle or something, or is that just like Captain Recycle? Pretty sure there was a Captain Planet who came and told us to recycle at some point in school.
Also, Rocco would have probably banned Joe for this, or maybe he will. But it's Joe's birthday tomorrow.
Joe!
Hey,
Joe.
Joe.
Joe!
Oh,
I'm not clapping. I'm just gonna casually wish Joe a happy May 3rd tomorrow and go on with my day. He's not getting any more out of me than that. I might drink like 2 monsters as well. So That'll be good.
Hey, but you know what? And look at Joe just caring about the show and caring about Kevin's story. Kevin's story.
I got to clap.
Oh, thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. Yeah, it was.
And we have a new member, Kevin, too.
Oh,
he might have
Andrew.
done it right after your story.
Thank you, Andrew. Maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not. But we can say it was.
Maybe I'll wish Joe a happy birthday if I feel like it.
No, that's okay. Yeah, you're not going to.
I'm
You're
sure he
good
won't
kid.
care whether you do or don't. So.
Oh, he won't. He won't.
All right. So should we do a little bit of the breakdown, talking about my breakdown with the Reds and Ellie the Cruz and who the Orioles are facing, and then also why Gunnar Henderson has evolved because he might be a better hitter against lefties now than righties.
Yeah, let's go.
Is that what we're doing?
I think it is.
Is it time for Kevin's Corner? A couple good kids and Kevin.
This is Kevin's Corner.
Well, actually,
You have to cut
wait
to
a minute.
Kevin
Time
when I
out.
say that.
You know what I just realized though, because our other guests, should we have our guests come in and do the news, or should we do the breakdown first?
Oh, let's do the news. If he's here.
Is he here? He's in the foot.
Nah, let him wait. Keep him back. Oh, God, come on.
Jason
Oh,
Benowitz, everybody.
I didn't even see he was back there. What's up, Jason?
You're muted.
Yeah, baby.
Muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Jason. Come on
God,
now.
you're rookie.
You're still muted.
There it is.
There it is.
Sorry, but I'm just getting back from being rich and famous apparently. So,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
have a day for
Yeah,
yourself.
you were
That's all
sick.
you-
That was sick.
You're on TV.
yeah, that was cool. Adam, I'll tell that story real quick. Adam hit me up
Oh,
the other day and said, "Hey, are you coming to the game?"
Oh, you're just on first name basis.
Oh yeah.
Now we are. Yeah.
Tell everybody it was Adam
Relax.
Jones. Adam Jones hit
Yeah.
you up.
Relax.
Adam Jones said, "Hey, are you coming to the game either yesterday or today?" I wasn't yesterday. I wasn't today, but when the captain calls, you answer. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm going today." Got my tickets, and he hit me up. He said, "Meet me at Boogs." We walked around for a bit, and then you guys saw us on TV drinking his beer and watching the game. So
Electric.
Awesome.
I'll remember that though, Jason.
Are you eating something?
Oh yeah.
yeah, he is. Well, hold up. See, I'm not done the story though, because
I'm sorry.
there's a couple things to shout out. First of all, Miami Brewing. Simply AJ is genuinely like if I didn't like it, I told him I would tell them. It's incredible. If you haven't had it, it's at the yard. Make sure you have it. The Adam Jones pod, because they're killing it over there. But also, break a little news to you guys. Adam wants to come on the show at some point, so make sure you just keep that in the back of your mind.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Our people will hit up your people, Adam.
Oh.
Yeah.
By our
Which I
people,
guess
we
is
mean-
which I
By
guess
our
is me
people.
now. So.
By our
Yes.
people, we do not mean Rocco.
Yeah, Rocco will not be.
Why not?
That would
I
be
guess that's
blocked.
me now. I'm the middleman.
I'd be a
Rocco.
great ambassador for this show.
Rocco. Sorry, my Rocco meter is just up here already.
Yeah,
think
mine too.
Yeah.
I think that's
I
what
can
guys
just
thought you
feel
were stronger
it.
than your son today, you idiot.
Well, usually with
I'm
Rocco
so
too,
sunburned.
you have.
It's so
Dave,
bad.
Listen, when you're a
My
ginger with
tricep kind of
pale
looks
skin,
good though.
ginger, pale skin, it's called sunblock. Use it.
Are you a ginger?
No, but Rocco just wanted to say that.
Oh,
You have red
yeah.
hair.
I'm like, did I? He has brown hair.
Yeah, it's kind of red, kind of
are
brown.
you-
kind
are
of
you
No,
blind?
it's not. No, it's
Kinda like,
not.
This is breaking
The-
news to me.
It does. Is your facial hair?
No,
is,
so my
is-
my facial hair.
That's
Sometimes
what
so
I
get-
meant. Yeah.
No, you did
No,
not.
you didn't.
No,
you just
did
looked
not.
at me
No.
and said, "Is that not red?" As
Well,
God, my hairline
Yeah.
looks bad.
That-
But
Maybe
That's
it's
so
mine.
stupid.
I might be colorblind.
Well, no.
Yeah, you are.
Some more breaking news on the Ryan Ripken Show.
Wow, Kevin going for the jugular.
Shots
Wow.
fired.
Listen, one more snide comment out of you, and you'll be doing Locked On Ravens and leave me alone.
And you can
Well,
and you
yes,
can find
yeah,
you
yes,
can find
sir.
Locked On Ravens with Rocco and Kevin at 3 a.m. tonight.
No,
That
it'll
is
be,
the normal start
it'll be
time.
it'll be out at 6 a.m. We record at
And-
midnight or
Oh.
12.
And you know what? The episodes with just Kevin will probably be better anyway. So
Oh, God.
no, actually, I will
Actually-
say Rocco DeSangro is a known ray of sunshine on.
That is true. That was the first ever comment Rocco got on when I first had Rocco on. That was the first time Rocco and I met. Actually, was I invited him on Locked On Ravens.
Is it when he took it back there?
Yep. And then you guys got mad because he wouldn't shout you out.
No. Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest.
I didn't even know Kevin, and I didn't even know Kevin, and I was like, "Fuck you, Kevin."
Yeah.
That was like cursing out Kevin. We had no clue who Kevin was.
I gave Rocco every opportunity. He saved it. He saved it for last.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. Honestly, I didn't really give a hoot, but at the end of the day, here we all are. Do we like each other? No, but are we have actually someone did ask that question, like really great.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys actually like each other?
Yeah,
And
I got a DM the other day asking if we're all actually friends.
Mm.
And I just sent the screenshot of me responding, "We literally hate Rocco." And Brad texts immediately and goes, "Say we don't like Rocco." And then he goes, "Oh, I just saw the post."
We're all on the same page. And you know what we're not talking about? We're not talking about why Jason's actually on here right now. Not that we don't like talking shop with you, Jason, but we do want you to talk about what's going to be happening at the yard coming up here, because you had something brewing. You know, someone could be saying you've been doing a little bit of farm work, working hard on the farm to make things happen here. You want really, Rocco?
Well, the fly.
What did he just do?
What? I don't know what happened.
All right, where's the part of the I'm just looking at the timestamp. Oh God. Jason's on. There it is again.
Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
we're getting distracted.
I don't know how you're a professional anything when you
I
act
don't
like
either.
you belong. That you act like you belong in the circus.
Sugar. All right, Jason, tell us what is happening. What has been brewing on this farm here, and what do you have going on?
Yep. So about 2 weeks ago, I got an idea that I thought was stupid. I didn't think anyone would go for it. It might still be stupid, but we're going to find out. So with the help of a couple people, shout to the Orioles. I've been talking with them. If you guys are on Twitter, Adley Kletchman has been my organization extraordinaire. And there's another group that I'll talk about here in a minute because they're helping out with this too. But you've been seeing the teasers, you've been seeing the hints. May 14th, out in section 72 and 73, we are going to have the pasture. It is a cow-themed Milkman, Colton Cowser section. Bring your friends, bring your family, bring your costumes, bring your moose. We are going to have a great time. I mentioned another group getting involved too. I have been in contact with, if you guys are familiar with, the Danville Dairy Daddies.
The daddies.
The new. They're gonna hook it up with some merch, some giveaways.
Ooh.
Yep, they're gonna have some people there. So cow theme section. This is gonna be the first one, hopefully, of a couple. We'll see how this goes. Actually, as I'm talking, I'm gonna tweet out the announcement. So basically, you'll see on my Twitter, there is a link where you can go buy tickets. In 72, the tickets will be $26, and then 73, they're $16. There we go, just dropped. And there's a link, and then there's a code. That's just what the Orioles gave me, so that way people can log in. So this is not through. You can't just go on the Orioles website and get the tickets. Use this link and the code, and you can get the cheaper tickets. Hoping a lot of people show up to this. Hoping there's enough that we have to do it a couple more times. It's funny because there's been a couple people, including Melanie Newman, who last night just casually said, I want someone to do this. And this has been in the works for a couple weeks now. But yeah, we're going to have the pasture Cowser theme section. And again, just try and bring people together, have a good time, have some fun. And we got to hope he starts that night. So
now, does Colton know about this, Jason, or is he going to show up on May 14th and be like, "Oh wow, there's some people in cow suits here tonight"?
You know, I've talked to people that would make me imagine he will know before it happens.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him personally, but I mean, I think I'm talking to a person or two now that can get him the message. So
yep. You know what? And they're aware. They're on social media, right? Like they
Right.
see things that are out there. People talk.
Yeah.
They might
They see Jason's media.
Yeah, they've seen Jason's media.
They seen Jason's Twitter.
Yeah,
Oh,
actually, Jason, his Colton's mom follows me now. Did you know that?
Yeah, well, actually, his mom and dad follow me. So,
oh, well, I'm glad that they were able to see all of your content.
Yeah.
Are we real? It's like, yeah, that's sick. But like me and my boys get follows from these people. Like, is that what we're doing here, guys?
No, Ryan, you don't get it. You don't get it.
I get it. I think when we had Colton on and he goes and we talk about, I think you know Jason and his eyes, and it's just, and if you know, he knows. But
I'm just waiting for him to hit another.
It was one tweet. It was one tweet.
One tweet seen around the world.
Yeah.
And in the Baltimore community, but it should be an amazing time. You know what I love? This is the thing that I love about this Birdland community here, Jason, is that so many people like you want to make this experience better for people. And if you're around the yard and you see what's going on in Baltimore, the fans and that experience make it even better. Ryan O'Hearn, guys, even talked about how when they felt coming to Baltimore was an easy place to play. It was almost just like I'm not going to say like a library, but it was very reserved, calm. Now there's a new enthusiasm, a energy and excitement, and it's because of the community, and doing stuff like this only enhances it. So I can't wait, Jason. We are going to blast that over social media so people can see it. And I am very confident a lot of people. Can you just say the date one more time so people that were wondering can get it or see it?
Yeah, so it's May 14th. It's a Tuesday. It's against Toronto, which why would you not want to pack the yard against a AL East rival anyway? And just for clarification, because again, I had no clue how many people would want to do this. We have the one section, but if y'all go crazy and it sells out, we can get another one. That's what I've been told. So let's show up, let's be loud, and let's have a good time. I hear Rocco's actually showing up that night. I'm calling him out. Rocco's going to be there.
Wait, that's a Tuesday, right?
Indeed.
Rocco, you're off.
I am.
Yeah. I'll see you. I'll be in my cow suit.
Yeah.
It's right there.
You want to buy me?
Can we get A-Rod's bear, but it's really become Kevin's bear for a few other reasons.
Yeah, Kevin, can you grab the bear?
Can you grab your bear?
It's not. It's Alex Rodriguez's bear.
I don't know. It's become your bear a little bit.
Just to put on the screen so we have a.
Did you not hear?
Bear.
You were saying wear your costumes like our bear. We haven't named our bear yet.
I like how Jared Carabas saw the bear, and the first thing he thought of was like, we could make this a super cool memorabilia thing with like getting a signed A-Rod jersey. And we saw the bear, and we're like, what if we put a cow suit on that thing?
Yep. It was almost the same feeling, Kevin, and it's bigger than you. You can give it a hug. You can give it a hug.
That's not the way I would hold it.
Hug the bear, Kevin.
Moo. Oh, you're a good kid, Kevin. Don't throw him like that.
The bear. That is A-Rod's bear.
Throw the bear.
Oh my God. A-Rod is going to be so pissed off when he hears about that.
He is. Hey, but Jason, can't wait. We're going to plug this all out here and to do all that. You're welcome to stay on with the guys. We wanted to get the announcement, but your boys got to get ready to break down Ellie De La Cruz, the Reds, and why Gunnar Henderson is just a damn dude, especially against left-handed pitching. We had some members in the Holy Shirts and Pants community ask me to do a Gunnar lefty on left in the past. Well, ask and you shall receive, because it's a big reason why Gunnar Henderson's been off to a great start. Why his numbers are so high. He has been beyond excellent against left-handers, and he's going to be facing two of them this weekend in Abbott and Lodolo. So without further ado, it's a special version of Kevin's Corner with the crew. So it's Kevin and the good kids and Rocco.
It is. And I want to make this one a little interactive, guys, and talk about confidence level. Obviously, confidence riding pretty high after taking 3 off the Yankees here. But Jason, I want to start with you. What is your confidence level in the Orioles and why?
Well, I might be the wrong person to start because 162 or bust, right? That's how it is in Birdland.
Yeah.
No, I mean I think coming off the series, look, I say it almost every time they lose, you're not going to win 162 games. No one ever has. No one ever will. To take 3 or 4 from that Yankees team, whether you would justify that they're struggling or not, take 3 or 4 from that Yankees team is impressive. And to do what they've done to again, Oakland, who cares? Flush it. It's gonna happen, right? So I just think if they consistently keep playing, if the pitching stays healthy, I know that's a big one. I was listening on the way back to the conversation you guys were having about basically holding your breath with Bradish. Don't love that, but I know that's where we are. But you just have to hope the pitching stays healthy, and this lineup is going to bang every single game, and they just are. They're going to find a way.
Yeah, and you talked about the injury. Bradish coming back from the injury, but now Grayson's on the IL, and we haven't talked to you about it yet, Jason. But is there any worry? Obviously, we're not doctors here. We had a guy on here who told us a little bit about it, but what's your worry level with Grayson? For me, it's the same thing with Bradish. You're not rushing him back until he's ready. And you're early enough in the season where you don't need to rush him back right now. I think it'd be malpractice if you rush him back, and I don't expect them to do that. But where are you with Grayson?
No, again, I'm in the camp of I'm not worried till I need to be. I was that way too with all, even with Felix last year. Until they said he was done, I'm just gonna, like I said, we're not doctors. I'm definitely not a doctor. And I'm just in the camp of, as long as these guys are throwing bullpens, they're working, they're trying to get back. I have no reason not to trust them because they're the athletes and they got the professionals in the room with them. So with Grayson, I'm fine until they give me a reason to not be. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, and I think at this point, with how the staff has performed, guys stepping up, obviously Alberto Suarez doing his thing, and now he's in the bullpen, so you're still going to get some quality outings from him, I think. But another big part is Zach showing me his sunburn. It's still not looking good, Zach. I'm sorry, but in terms of, we talk about Adley and Gunnar and all the stars, Colton in this lineup, Jordan Westberg obviously still producing, as Zach loves to say. But it's about the other guys too. And again, I don't know who said it. I apologize. I don't know who said it, but we got the M&Ms contributing today, Jason, with you got Mateo and McKenna both homering in the same inning. I don't know if you had that one on your bingo card. I certainly didn't, but it's nice to see.
I might have to play the lottery tonight.
you might, if that happens, you might have to play the lottery, but it's nice to see. Again, it doesn't have to be Adley every day. It doesn't have to be Colton every day. It doesn't have to be Gunnar every day. You do have other players in this lineup that, while they might not be the most consistent hitters, they might not be hitting 300 or hitting all these homers, they can still give you a little pop or a little production when you need it.
Yeah, no, I think another person too that just doesn't get enough love is actually is James McCann. A good backup catcher is so hard to come by. A good starting catcher is hard to come by in baseball right now. I mean, you've seen the trend. It's good defense, and maybe you'll get one hit a series, right? I mean, I know that's an exaggeration, but a lot of these starting catchers are not guys who are going to crush the ball. And to have a backup catcher who every time he goes up to the plate, he might do something special is just so incredibly rare in today's game. I don't know off the top of my head if I can name another team who has a backup catcher who can do what James McCann does, honestly.
Yeah, and that's, again, you talk about some veteran presence, and obviously everybody talked about Kyle Gibson last year and the veteran that he was. Obviously, it was very important, especially for a young Orioles team. But for a guy like McCann, who was there last year, and he has that veteran experience with the team, that's also super important. Rocco, I'll give you a little bit of love if you haven't really talked a lot. I want to get your opinion. Your what?
I'm fine with that. I don't have to talk.
Well, people do value your opinion, contrary to popular belief on this show.
Whoa.
Exactly.
Is that Zach stepping in?
Values my opinion.
I value it, Rocco. I value your opinion.
Rocco, you are our little rain of sunshine.
Ray
of sunshine, you idiot.
Okay, but where are you confidence-wise on the Orioles scale of 1 to 10 and why?
Like an 8 or 9. I'm not going to say 10 because it's just like, I don't know. I hate giving out 10s. I'm like that teacher that's the hardest grader in the school. Just don't like to give out 10s. But for the O's, my confidence level is very high. I mean, there's no doubt with this team what they can accomplish if they're healthy. The question is, can they remain healthy? And we're going to play the hypothetical game. But You see Grayson Rodriguez head to the IL with that, shoulder inflammation. You see John Means come back, so that's good. I want to see what this rotation is capable of when they're all healthy. When Grayson's out there, when Corbin Burns is out there, Bradish, Means, Cole Irvin. Where are you going to put Tyler Wells? Where are you going to put Suarez? I know Suarez, potentially heading to the bullpen, but what are you going to do with all these guys, and how are they going to handle that in a good way? Because I think they're all going to embrace their roles. I don't have any doubts that this team is going to continue to do that, because they're a great group of guys and they truly want to win. And a lot of them, they seem really close, like Adley, Gunnar, Mountcastle, Kalzer, the young guys, especially the baby birds. I mean, the chemistry is there. And even with the older guys coming in, a lot of guys have said really, really great things about James McCann. And like Jason brought up, he's a backup catcher of the team. He doesn't need to be the glue guy, but I feel like he is. A lot of teammates gravitate towards him, really value his opinion, and he seems like he does bring this group together at times. So with all that, it's a recipe for success. It truly is. When you have a team that believes, when you have a team that wants to win, when you have a healthy team, good things will come. So I really think the O's, just like last year we said it, I think they can make another run and hopefully take it a step further in 2024.
Yeah, I'm hoping. And I think you got a exciting weekend series coming up. Brad, I want to get your thoughts on it too. What's your confidence level in this team right now, and why?
I think it's pretty good. I mean, we look at, and Rocco kind of touched on it too, of just like, it really comes down to who stays healthy. I mean, I really love the fact that Suarez is in the bullpen. I mean, for him to come out and start the way that he did, and then now that arm, that talent is sitting in the bullpen that was kind of tired. And we've talked about this a lot with Mike Baumann kind of being overworked and whatnot. And we just kind of felt like they needed another arm in the bullpen to help support that. And so I'm really feeling good about that. I mean, listen, guys, we're not that far away from the 125 consecutive series without getting swept. And I really do think that the Orioles have a chance to do it this year. And so if that ends up happening, I think that we're on pace for another 100-win season. I mean, the Orioles almost have an identical record this year as they did last year. So it's still going to be difficult. It's early in the season, but I think 100 wins is still very much on the table right now.
Yeah, and speaking of series, Brad, we had a bunch of great guests come on here and talk about the Reds from a Reds perspective. And again, exciting weekend series. But for your expectations, I mean, what do you consider? Obviously, a sweep is the goal, but where do you draw a line of oh, that's disappointing? Would you be disappointed if the Orioles only took 2 from Cincinnati? Would you be okay with that? I think obviously if they lose the series, there's going to be a lot of conversation. What does a successful series this weekend look like for you?
I'll take a page out of Ryan's book, and it's don't get swept, and or take 2 out of 3, and if you can't take 2 out of 3, don't get swept. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if that's kind of what I'm living by. What I'd love to see a sweep, sure. Would I love to see them win the series? Absolutely, but just don't get swept, and I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think so too. Rocco, you agree with that? Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. Are you gonna? Okay, yeah, keep going, Rocco.
No, I was gonna say, agree with Brad there with that point. It's like, if you're gonna go out there, it's okay if you lose 2 or 3, unless it's the Oakland A's. That series, I mean, I know it's early on in the season, but that series just put a bad taste, I feel like, in a lot of people's mouths, because it's the A's. You're not supposed to lose a series to the A's. If they lose a series to the Reds, they have young talent up and coming, fine, whatever.
And they were winnable games.
It's not the end of the world that they lost the series to the A's. It's how they lost the series to the A's that ticked a lot of people off. But if they go out and lose 2 or 3 to the Reds, it's not a big deal. It's early in the season. Jason said it. Brad said it. I'm going to say it again. 162-game season, a lot of baseball left to be played. And the Orioles are going to go out there and do their thing and compete like they always do.
You're damn right. Are we good to go? Am I good to go? I'm going to try to get these echoes off here. Is this better? Can you guys hear me? Hold on. There we go. All right, we're back. Can you guys hear me okay? You can give me a thumbs up if you're feeling good, feeling frisky. Wow, just trying to look at, does my hair look good there? No, man, the hairline's going up, but that's another topic here. What we really want to talk about actually is this Orioles Reds series. And look, a lot of people have opinions, and it's been a great really month for the Orioles, so keep the perspective here. Now you move on, though. You go on the road, a place where the Orioles have been very good, playing away from Camden Yards. They did it very well last year. Overall, off to a good start this year. But we've mentioned so far in this program about the young, talented players, and the Reds have a lot of them. Yes, there are a lot of players that are hurt for the Reds at the moment, but they have star power in this specific case. If I move out of the way, Ellie De La Cruz over here. Hey now. And obviously you guys recognize Mr. Gunnar Henderson. But Ellie De La Cruz, the reason why he's a superstar is because we talk about 5 tools impacting the game in multiple ways. That's Ellie De La Cruz to a T. And this does it every time. It's like a time sensor, you know? Whammy, we're back. But Ellie De La Cruz can impact the Cincinnati Reds in so many different ways. Last year, you might have seen him get called up, and he took Major League Baseball by storm. Fastest guy, it feels like, in Major League Baseball. But then he did have some struggles, and you wanted to see how his evolution would be. Well, guess what? So far, he has lived up to the bill and has really helped keep this Cincinnati Reds team afloat as they deal with some key injuries. So as we move on in this, and again, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate that. To give you a context a little bit here about Ellie De La Cruz's last 2 seasons, 2023, his rookie year that we just mentioned, he had 13 jacks, but again, his got off to a good start, and then the average dropped. OBP slugging, he had an OPS of over 710, but 13 home runs, speed obviously there, 35 bags. He struck out a ton. That was one thing that's not mentioned here, but that was one of his issues they had to learn. But look, as a young player, you've seen it with the Orioles, you got to learn to make adjustments. You got to get comfortable at the big leagues. The big league pitchers made adjustments to Ellie, and he didn't make enough last year to have more success. Well, so far this season, he's been sensational, hitting 280, OPS at 968, and you can see he already has 18 stolen bases right now at this moment of the season, 8 jacks. This guy is going to break all of his offensive numbers, especially with the amount of games he's going to play. And I'm going to explain why he's having so much success here in just a few moments. We're going to go through his hitting chart here for a second, or give you the whole percentile, courtesy of Baseball Savant. Honestly, I don't like to get so caught up in the analytics because it sometimes can be a little bit of hogwash or whatever the hell you want to call it. But I did want to point out a couple things. One of my favorite things is actually pointing out the spray chart here. And I love the fact, if you look at last year, even though he had his struggles, he's not afraid to use the whole part of the field. That's what's going to make him successful. So you can see last year, base running value extremely high. Exit velocity still pretty high. And you can see he can do things well. Hit the ball hard, arm strength, 98th percentile, and it's blocking out down here. I apologize, but he's 100 percentile. It's not a joke. He might be the fastest man in all Major League Baseball. Flash forward to this part of the season in 2024, and we're seeing it. Look, you're seeing the same thing where he's having success, already hitting home runs. I love this opposite field power. You're starting to see it. But look at all of this so far to start the season. You saw a lot of blue, which means that his average X velocity or his X WABA, whatever. I can't honestly sit here and tell you what every single one of those things means as far as articulating it to a science. As a baseball guy, I will say it this way. It means he's hitting the absolute crap out of the ball. And he's making consistent contact. He's seeing pitches deep, and he's using the whole field to his percentage. And this is a simple one. Whiff percentage. 8% on balls where he's just flat out missing it. That's extremely low, and that's something that actually has helped him continue to get better here. And again, getting the walks up. So if you can walk more and you can swing and miss less, that's already a pretty damn good start. Oh, and by the way, he dropped to the 99th percentile in speed. Guy's a talent. Now let me show you some videos of just how talented he is, okay? And here's the first example here. He's going to get a off-speed pitch that he's going to hit to right field from Wheeler. And again, 1-1 count, 2 outs. And this is something that I think he's done a better job on, is being able to stay back and drive the baseball wherever. Wheeler hangs a breaking ball over the middle of the plate here. He's not going to try to do too much. He's going to be in a good position. He's going to hit that puppy down the right field kind of line, or towards right field line. He's in there, easy double, and that's just an example. This next one I'm going to show you guys, this one is going to be a fastball away. First pitch in the 9th inning. And again, this is something where his game has really started to evolve. So if I can freeze frame it right there. And sorry, sinker, fastball, similar, it's the same thing. Sinker, obviously. Ball's just tailing down. And maybe this is a good little lesson real quickly. Cutter, ball's cutting across the plate. Sinker, ball's going down. Two-seamer has more of a lateral run. So the sinker here, he's trying to have it to induce a ground ball, with hence the sink. Doesn't sink it enough, and Ellie, instead of trying to do too much, and a lot of people that hit sinkers, by the way, when you try to do too much, that is when you roll the ball over. Hey, now roll it over, hit into the ground. What Ellie does a great job of is he gets right to the baseball, just underneath it a hair. But again, this is a line drive, compact swing, and he hits an absolute bullet the other way. And I mean a bullet. And that's just something that he continues to bring, and that's what makes his game better. We saw in the chart about his opposite field power. It's no joke. And you're going to see it right here. He's going to get a pitch away, doesn't try to do too much, but when you have this much talent and raw power, this is what makes him so damn dangerous. Pitch away, whammy, 96, and again, that's over the plate, right? Hitters will do damage, but not a lot of hitters are going to send that to the moon to left, opposite field. That's Gunnar Henderson right there. That's what Gunnar does really well. And another thing that Ellie has done extremely well, 2 strikes. A lot of his home runs have been with 2 strikes, 3 of which have come on 0-2 counts. But here it is again, 3-2 count. Ellie De La Cruz, not going to try to do too much, and he is going to hit this ball into orbit, dead center. And you can see, similar location to where that last home run was to left. The only difference here, and this is what maybe is a good lesson for everyone out there, a difference of this ball going to center or to right or to left is just what position your body's in and where you're making contact. If you're a little bit late, you might hit that ball to left in this case, and that's what he did. He was a hair late, stayed on the baseball, drove it, gone. Here, he's a little bit more on time. He gets extended, so when his bat's out, instead of maybe if he's a little bit later, I'm trying to see with the camera, hey now. So instead with the camera, if he's a little bit late, you know, the bat angle might be a little bit more this way, right? So you see that? Pew, see you later to left. For him, it's a little bit more on time. He's using the big part of the field. Bat head gets right to middle, right back at the pitcher, except it wasn't right back to the pitcher. This ball was 450 feet off the damn top where the Mike's car wash is. How you doing, Mike? Let's take a rewind to that for a second, because I want people to understand. That ball is torched. And that's the danger if you leave a pitch to Ellie De La Cruz over the middle of the plate. And here's another example. He's going to get a slider in. And this is what it's evolved with his game. Again, 1-0 count. It's a hitter's count. But even in a pitch where it's not a terrible pitch, it's in a sweet spot. But Miller's a very good pitcher for them. And Ellie's just prepared, doesn't try to do too much, and lets his raw skills do the talking. And he got a hold of it. He's feeling good. And it's gone yet again. So again, this is just what Ellie De La Cruz brings to his team. He's a catalyst. He's a catalyst for this team right now. And again, I wanted to bring back that what I mentioned before, 0-2, he hit 3 home runs so far with 2 strikes. He's very, very comfortable with 2 strikes. And why he is for every hitter, when you get the 2 strikes, you just got to try to be tougher, be harder to get out. A guy that's so fast like him, you should never slump, by the way, because you should be able to find different ways. Now, again, hitting's hard, but if you're this talented, a guy like this is going to slump less and less when he figures it out. Then factor in that he can do damage with 2 strikes, and he can hit mistake-breaking balls, which Flexen's going to throw right here, hanging changeup, right over the middle of the plate, and he stays on it. That's the thing I like with Ellie. You're not seeing him try to hook balls down the line, right? It's not going hooking. He's using the big part of the field. And you guys, if you keep watching these videos, which I hope you do, this is what's going to keep making great players great. They use the big part of the field. I'm not messing with you guys. Go watch all the best hitters. They can use the entire field, or they use the big part. And when they stay consistent through that middle part of the field, they have more success. Because if they are a hair early or a hair late, it allows them more chances to get hits. And it's just, I love great players. And Ellie De La Cruz is a great player. And you know who else is a great player? That's Gunnar Henderson. And Gunnar Henderson here, as you guys have known, this goes into the Gunnar breakdown, which is part 2. So shout out you guys. Let me know where you want to hear next. Oh, we're going to get going. Hey now,
hit pause one time, Ryan, and maybe this is a good time to pause and say I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you guys could please hit that like and subscribe button to the Ryan Ripken channel, that would mean the world. And let me know again who you guys would like me to break down in the future. But you might think, what the hell are these numbers, Ryan? Well, last year everyone said Gunnar Henderson can't hit lefties. And then going into this year, well, Gunnar, what's going to hold him back is he's not going to be able to hit lefties. Interesting point. What do we do about that? What do we think about that? Well, here's the thing. Gunnar did hit 209 last year in his official rookie season against lefties. In this case right now, as I move over, you don't know which one's which, okay? But 313 average, 247 average, you might think this one right here is the lefties, which would be an improvement. Up 38 points so far, feeling good. Well, guess what? This is Gunnar hitting righties, is 247. At the current moment, he is hitting 313 against the southpaws. Yes, more power with the right-handed throwers, but still 3 jacks. He's got 10 RBIs compared to 14, and he's finding a way to get on base a lot. Yes, it's a big comparison with the bats, but when you're looking at what he's doing, yeah, you're damn right it's impressive because they're going to be facing a lot. And what do the Reds have? They have 2 very talented left-handed starting pitchers, which will be a good test for Gunnar Henderson, but he's up to the challenge. And let me explain to you why he's doing so well against these left-handed pitchers so far. And it kind of goes into the same thought process with Ellie de la Cruz. For Gunnar, use the big part of the field. You're a big guy. When I say a big guy, like Gunnar's 6'4". If I stand up straight, and I'd slouch a lot, I'm more like 6'5", 6'6". But for Gunnar 6'4", long arms, likes to get extended on the baseball. But if he gets too pull happy, where he tries to go a hair too early, he's not going to stay on the baseball enough. Now, he's going to pull balls in this scenario, but you're going to understand the difference, okay? But for me, when you're facing a left-handed pitcher, the goal as a hitter is to not try to do too much, because your first reaction with the lefty coming at you is going to be, all right, I got to get to this baseball. What if he throws it in? You want to leak because of the way the arm angle is. You can't leak. You can't do it. Don't do it. You got to stay in on the baseball as long as you can. And if there's a pitch inside, don't try to do too much. Try to use the middle part of the field to stay back. And once you can do that, it gets your timing ready. This is a simple swing for me, and it might not seem like a lot to you guys, but this is a really good start. Obviously, first game, and damn, there's a handsome fellow sitting right there. How could you miss him, right, Zach? I know you said the same exact thing, but Gunnar Henderson's going to get a fastball inside here. Instead of trying to do too much, he hits a ground ball right up the middle. And again, might not seem like much, but that's an inside pitch with sink. That gets Gunnar feeling good, big part of the field, right? Again, little things like that are going to have you be more successful. This dude is super funky. Bernardino, he's got a weird arm slot, so imagine he's hiding it like here, and it's going to come across his body, almost feel like it's going to be behind Gunnar's ass, and all of a sudden, it's going to be a curveball. And because Gunnar is trying to think bigger part of the field, he's going to hit this hanging breaking ball. It's going to sit right in the middle, and he's going to go shopping at, like we call, shopping at the gap. So right there, it's a mistake pitch, and because Gunnar's staying on it and he's thinking big part of the field, let's go shopping. Here we go. Get it going. And yeah, he's pretty damn fast, by the way. If you didn't know, he's one of the best athletes in all of baseball and one of the best base runners in all of baseball. So you see that. There's the trend. And then once you're starting to feel good, then that's when your timing's a little bit more on, you can then hit the hanging breaking balls and pull those more often, especially lefty on lefty. And this one against Matt Moore, well, you guys can guess. He's going to hit this ball to the absolute moon. Boom, boom. Oh, middle in. Oh, well, see ya. And that's what you do. When you start to feel good, you then pull the baseball on off-speed pitches. You don't try to do too much. All right, and this is the evolution of what Gunnar Henderson's doing, is making it simpler for him as a hitter. Here's the other example. He's going to get a fastball now away. And remember what I just talked about maybe a couple minutes ago. I ramble. But Gunnar's going to get this pitch over here. All right, and because his thoughts are still thinking big part of the field, he can then have the power and the extension to get to that baseball and still drive it with authority. And that's what he's going to do here. He's going to get a pitch on the outside, get his arms extended, That's not a bad pitch. And I'm sorry, that was a slurvy, not a fastball. But again, away pitch, not a terrible pitch by Henderson. But Gunnar can get extended. What do you know? He's using the bigger part of the field, and there's another home run for Gunnar Henderson. Is it crazy? Is it magic? No, it's just the sign of a really damn good player. This actually is my favorite hit of Gunnar so far against lefties. And you might think, well, the home runs are pretty cool, Ryan. Wrong. They actually are really cool. But this is what's fantastic. 0-2 count. This is like, I hate, this might be, I'm going to refrain from what I was going to say here because I had the locker room side in me. But this is something right here that fires me up so much. And for everyone that wants to teach their kids something on lefty on left, pitchers versus hitters, Gunnar's going to get a heater away, and he's going, you know what? I got to stay back. I'm not seeing it as well, but I know I can stay back long enough and hit a ball hard. That's my goal. Gunnar's going to get a pitch away here. Instead of trying to do too much with 2 strikes, all he does is play pepper. And if you guys ever played pepper as a kid, so you got the bat, someone throws you a ball, and all you're trying to do is essentially just make contact with it. Try to hit it right back to him. Bat control. Gunnar Henderson right here is playing pepper, but his playing pepper is hitting an absolute missile to left field. And I mean missile. I want to show that again. Look how quick his bat is to the ball. Oh, my goodness. Gunnar. Man, I need some privacy. That's sexy. That's sexy. It is. I'll be honest. Those are the types of moves right there that make you into a complete player. And then when you really do that pisses off a pitcher, by the way, because then guess what? He gets Sears later, and Sears is going, damn, how do I get you out? You just hit a fastball. I couldn't blow it by you. How can I beat you? Well, you're not going to beat him by hanging a breaking ball. That's for damn certain. 2-2 count. Gunnar has the fastball timing down. He's going to get a breaking ball, and guess what? Hello, flag court. Or hello, Utah? No flag court. Yeah, Gunnar, no, not enough pop, man. What are we doing? But what he really is doing, if we're being completely honest about all this, Gunnar Henderson's showing why he is so unstoppable as a player. And to wrap this all up, Gunnar Henderson is a guy that is a transcendent talent. He's a Hall of Fame type player. For me, I'm not afraid to say that this guy is going to be a Hall of Famer, and I think he's going to be in Baltimore for a very long time. But De La Cruz has all those capabilities, the talent, the pedigree, the base running to impact the team, right? These are guys you build your future around. If you're a baseball fan, you must tune into this series between the Reds and the Orioles. So much young talent, and it's going to be led by these 2 guys. So I know that was a lot of words. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're new to the Ryan Ripken Show. And while we get set up to close this all out here, back to Kevin's Corner.
We're cutting it. Brad asked sign off.
We'll sign off. That works. Perfect. Jason, appreciate you, man.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Just want to tell people because I've been while you were doing the breakdown, I was getting messages left and right. It seems like the code is not working, and I don't know if so many people tried to get on the website crashed or what. But I have messages out to the right people and trying to figure out what's going on. So on my Twitter, Rocco, don't shake your head. As soon as we figure out what's going on, I'll tweet about it. But right now the code doesn't seem to be working, and I think that's because so many people tried to get on. So that's a good thing, but also I'm trying to figure out why. So
maybe I sabotaged you, Jason. Maybe I sabotaged the website.
That also wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But hey, so we will make sure, and Zach's having fun behind me right there. You can keep going, Zach. You're a good kid. But check out, we will make sure on X and on social media that everything that's going on with the event on May 14th, you guys are getting all the updates, and make sure you're getting the right code. So Jason, I appreciate you. We will do that. Guys, and I know longer show, but we appreciate you joining us on today's Thursday night. And I think, guys, it's time to cue the music. We'll save Kevin Oki for at least today. Zach, you want to cue it? Bump, bump, bump. Well, hey, as always at the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate you joining us. We hope you enjoyed what we had in store for you today. We have a lot more in store for you in the future. And as always, for Ripping the Good Kids, want you guys to have a day, have a night, have a great stinking weekend, and we will talk soon.
Oh. Didn't need to see that, Zach.